stopped doing that and just allowed myself to just watch it and stop trying to figure it out, that's when I like adored it.
That's the way to watch it, is just to hopefully just open yourself up to whatever, because it changes a lot too. And I think those pivots could either be frustrating or I hope like exciting and invigorating. But it's one or the other, you know, like because if you fasten yourself to any given point in the film, you're not going to stay there.
Ari Aster has created 3 of the most unique horror movies of the last couple decades. First, with Hereditary, Aster gave us one of the most terrifying debuts in recent memory. Hereditary gave us some themes that would linger through all 3 movies. Family, trauma, and grief. Aster's movies are more psychological and surreal than conventionally scary. Midsommar continued to expound on many of the same themes. All 3 movies begin with the loss of a family member. In Hereditary, Annie Graham, a miniatures artist, loses her mother, Ellen. As Annie realizes that her emotionally distant mother wasn't who she said she was, the family begins a maddening descent into the occult. Midsommar, likewise, begins with Danny losing family. Danny's sister kills her parents and herself in one of the most haunting and shocking openings to a movie I've ever seen. Midsommar is also a story about loss and grief, inspired by a relationship and breakup that Ari Aster had. Danny must lose everything, her family, her relationship, her friends, to be reborn and to come out the other side with true emotional catharsis. Beau is Afraid, which is now in theaters, Ari Aster's 3rd film, is the one we're discussing tonight. In the beginning of the film, Beau's controlling and codependent mother, Mona Wasserman, is seemingly crushed by a chandelier in her very elegantly designed home. Interestingly, later in the film, we learn that Mona Wasserman's mother sounds a lot like Ellen, emotionally distant and afraid to even touch her children. Mona tries to do the opposite, becoming overly controlling, overly affectionate, and demanding. This leaves Beau, played excellently by Joaquin Phoenix, with crippling anxiety and complete inability to make his own decisions. I'm not sure anyone would accuse Midsommar or Hereditary of subtlety, but the world Ari Aster creates in Beau is Afraid is a truly terrifying and surreal to a mind-bending level. The entire film, we're not quite sure if what we're seeing is a dream or a hallucination, and it's through the eyes of Beau, who is overly medicated, scared of everything, and constantly getting life-threatening injuries. At times we seem to be inside of a dream within a dream, a nightmare within a nightmare, or even a video game. A lot of work so far, trying to decipher Beau is Afraid, has focused on Joseph Campbell. Ari Aster has called Beau is Afraid a Jewish Lord of the Rings, which can seem odd, but Tolkien's Lord of the Rings novels fit neatly within Joseph Campbell's hero's journey mythology. Otherwise known as a monomyth, the hero's journey is a template to understand everything from the novels and films we enjoy to religious stories and mythology.
The achievement of the hero is one that he is ready for, and it's really a manifestation of his character. And it's amusing the way in which the landscape and the conditions of the environment match the readiness of the hero. The adventure that he's ready for is the one that he gets. But then this can be seen also in the simple initiation ritual, where a child has to give up his childhood and become an adult.
And this is where Ari Aster inverts the hero's journey. Beau is not ready for the journey. In this movie, the journey to get home to bury his mother. Campbell talks about challenges and temptations that face the hero, and I'd argue that Beau fails all of the challenges and temptations that cross his path.
You're a lucky man.
What is this?
That's my little assistant health monitor. Keeps track of your condition.
He is unable to atone, fails in his effort to transform, and the moment where he could conceivably destroy his biggest tormentor, his mother, is aborted.
We're in our childhood for at least 14 years, and then to get out of that posture of dependency, psychological dependency, into one of psychological self-responsibility requires a death and resurrection. And that is the basic motif of the hero journey, leaving one condition, finding the source of life to bring you forth in a richer or more mature or other condition.
The hero's journey, therefore, is unearned and unfulfilled. Beau is unwilling or unable to be transformed. Therefore, we're left with a deformed and failed hero's journey. The hero's journey motif is played with in an interlude. In the movie's most surreal scene, Beau is sucked into a play out in the forest. The play is a true hero's journey, with Beau losing his family, wife and sons, in a flood and traveling throughout foreign lands to make his way back to the village. He finally does, finding his 3 sons at the same forest play, a play within a play. However, at the last minute, he tells his son what his mother told him, which is that if he ejaculates, he will die, leading his son to ask, "How did you have us?" and bringing Beau back to reality with his own limitations. The same limitations that will stop his own hero's journey. On IMDb, these characters are listed as Hero Beau's wife and Hero Beau's sons. One other thing that all of Ari Aster's films have in common that I'd like to touch on. They all have repeated imagery and tokens that are used to both symbolize aspects of the story and serve diegetic purpose. They usually reflect something about the supernatural or occult aspects of the films. In Hereditary, Annie's dollhouse and miniatures track the fragile state of her mind. In Midsommar, we see intricate murals that track the events of the story. Beau's Afraid gives us a small statue of the Virgin Mother holding a baby Jesus that is replicated at Beau's mother's house in a tapestry. This movie is surrealist, psychologically anxiety-inducing, and pretty terrifying. We are made to feel like Beau in a heart-pounding 3-hour panic attack.
Am I dead?
No. You've been healing so quickly. And no organs were hit, and your bleeding was really mild.
What decision is this?
Anyway, before I introduce the panel, let me say, please like this video and subscribe to the Movie Night Extravaganza YouTube channel. Also, we are now monetized, so if you have any pressing questions during this live show, send us a super chat. We are absolutely obligated by international law, human rights law, to answer it. We also have a Patreon, patreon.com/Movie Night Extra. All of our after parties are available on there forever. Okay, let me introduce the panel. Conan Neutron, co-host of Movie Night Extravaganza, host of Botanic Reversal, and frontman for Conan Neutron and the Secret Friends. Right now, Conan is working on Caterwaul 2023. Caterwaul Music Festival is going to be in Minneapolis from May 26th to 29th. Tickets are on sale now at caterwaul.org. Jan DeWorld, illustrator, book cover artist, comic designer, and artist for Give Them an Argument, co-host of Movie Night Extravaganza and Bad Takes. KT Baldassaro is an actress, director, and writer who wrote and co-directed and also starred in Girl in the Basement, along with appearing in quite a few horror movies. I, of course, am your long-suffering, panic-stricken host, Forrest Miller. Remember to take it with water, always with water, and don't leave your keys in the door.
Good advice all around, really.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I was sitting there thinking, like, did I leave my keys at the door? Wait.
Oh God, no! Did I leave the
Better go
oven
check.
on?
Yeah,
Am I dead?
I'll be right back, guys.
Am I dead? Oh man.
So this movie for me,
Good
as
times.
someone who has actual like frequent panic attacks, like as someone who
Yeah.
has a heightened amount of anxiety, it was kind of fascinating to take my Adderall, go to the movie theater by myself, like
For a good time at the movies, yeah.
yeah, and then sit there for the next 3 hours just gripping to the fucking edge of my seat, just like I am
Yeah.
inducing anxiety in myself, which is something that I tend to try not to do as I already have a lot of it. But it was kind of it was a fascinating kind of journey into the psychological. I've like my own brain, I guess, turned up to like 1,000.
Yeah. I think the absolute first question anyone looking at this movie would have to ask is, why would I do this to myself?
I I
But,
mean,
like, in a
it's
good
so
way.
over the top though. Like, and that's I think why it works.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Yes.
I mean, the whole beginning sequence where you just like see where his home is, and it's like, you know, like I said, it's like you haven't seen that kind of like depiction outside of like a Republican campaign ad for against crime. You know.
Do you know what it really reminded me of? It reminded me of City, no, Delicatessen. The description
Totally.
of the
Yes.
town in Delicatessen were like grotesquely over the top.
Like just like jumping over the dead body and like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
the face tatted guy. I mean, one of my favorite scenes is like when he's just trying to get the water again, supposed to take it with water, right? So it's like, oh, terrible things will happen. And he goes to the store and he like props
remembering
the,
John.
right. He props the door open, and then you gradually see literally everyone on the street go into the apartment complex, and then meantime, like, oh, his card's declined, and he doesn't have enough change, and like I was losing my shit laughing. I was the only one in the theater just losing it. I sound like a maniac.
Again, as someone who was literally you know, on Adderall watching this, hard relatable. Because that you know, it dehydrates the shit out of you and you start panicking if you don't, you know, drink water with it and stuff. So for me, like watching him freak out about not having water, I actually made sure.
Yeah, the water's like off in the building somehow just because, like, where it's like what? No.
Well, it's like every intrusive thought you've ever had happening at once is definitely Act One, and it's kind of funny. It's funny in that kind of way that like Terry Gilliam's Brazil is funny, where it's just like it's horrifically wrong, but you're kind of laughing at it.
One of my favorite movies of all time, for what it's worth. Yeah. So maybe that's why I loved it so much.
Yes,
I laughed out loud in the theater. I mean,
there was definitely points where you couldn't help but laugh, although it felt like he was such a terrible, like an unreliable narrator to such a degree that it was like this is almost like Idiocracy, like a Mike Judge kind of farce. Because like when he was running to get to the door just to get into his apartment, that absolutely reminded me of being like a very small child trying to run up from the basement to be like, as long as I get to the door before the shadows get me, it's okay. Yeah. And like nothing's fucking chasing me.
He's pumping himself with that like Fox News style cable propaganda. Sure. Where it's just like you know, the report of the birthday boy stabbing man or whatever.
Yes.
And so like, but he's watching that on,
which is great, by the way, and one of my favorite characters in cinema now.
Yes,
by the way,
I'm sure all of us have.
Where's
like,
his spinoff film?
Yeah, exactly. Where's his Disney Plus prestige TV show?
Well, I'm sure all of us have like older relatives, right? That like are Fox News watchers, and I remember a couple years ago when like the crime wave happened in New York City, sitting there with my grandma and like her family or whatever on somebody's 90th birthday. So it was all the old people sitting around, and the picture that they painted of New York City based on, I mean, they all live on Long Island, but like you don't go to New York City. You know what I mean?
I mean, my man, most of my adult life, I lived in Oakland, California.
Yeah.
So can you imagine that like literally every human being that I ever met that is not from the Bay Area? Oh, Oakland.
Yeah.
And they're envisioning Mad Max is what they're envisioning.
Yeah. There's like always a car fire, like
exactly.
car on fire, just like every corner of Oakland. Like that's
they don't even bother putting it out. It just lights itself back up again.
Yeah, it's like the core.
Drive through with your car, and then your car catches. Well, that's just a Tesla, I guess.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. But yeah, I mean that was like being like a band on tour from Oakland. Oh, Oakland. First thing they'd be like, Raiders suck. I'm like, haha, I don't care about football. And then second thing would be like, oh, got a lot of crime there. It's like, dude, like literally no more than any other big city. But like that's all you ever hear about from Oakland. And it's
yeah. So
it's very hard relatable in that way.
It's that picture painted on almost like a giant mural of a city. I mean, I guess it's supposed to be New York City, but it's like,
yeah, because it's like a Looney Tunes version of it.
Yeah,
but like violent. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Tucker Carlson's like inner vision of New York City.
It's what his brain looks like on the inside. Yeah.
Yes.
It's his birthday boy stab man.
Although there might have been too many white meth heads for Tucker Carlson's brain in there.
True. Yeah, they would be meth heads of color. Thank you.
And there's also like the perfect
more meth heads of color.
It's meth representation.
Sorry, I'll let you finish
that whole scene, right, where he goes across to get the water and props the door open. It is a perfect intrusive thought that like just the meth heads pour in as if they're like
Yeah. Everyone's gonna get in if I leave this open. Yeah, absolutely.
Every single and what they do to his apartment, it's just it's
Yeah.
so over the top.
And
Because
the
it's
last
beyond
person
worst
who
case
just
scenario,
locks the door on
you
him,
know.
too. Like it's a
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because if you've ever lived in a building, like a building like with a door and a gate like that, that's the first thing. Don't let anyone in. You know, don't buzz anyone in. You know, everyone like freaks out about it, and then for good reason. I mean, it's not like that comical level, but you don't want the people like graffiti is real.
Yeah.
You know, people like breaking into mailboxes and stealing stuff, totally real.
Yeah.
Dude,
Did you read the graffiti in the movie?
Yeah, as much as we could. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's it's like there is no God, murder babies, like
yeah.
Even the graffiti is like hardcore. Yeah.
And there's that like big butt pooping too, like in half the scenes in that first act, which I thought was going to come back.
The comically oversized porn store. Then he's out in front of next to the
sexist,
yeah, like next door. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And his mom is paying for everything.
Yeah.
And she's super rich. Do you think she really put him in an apartment that's that bad? Or is this just his fucking anxiety?
It's exactly what it is. Because again, we're talking about like, the overextended internal persecution complex mindset of like where someone is rather than rather than any actual based in reality situation.
This is a very hard movie to talk about with anyone who hasn't seen it.
I think we just need to abandon hope all year.
Well, not even like
right?
not spoiling it, just being like, oh yeah, the birthday stab boy man in scene one. You're like, huh?
Yeah, well, I went and saw it myself, but I saw it like a couple towns over, and like I had my mom drop me off, and she picked me up, and I tried to explain the movie to her in the car, and I was like, first of all, you would have hated this movie. Second of all,
were you still explaining it by the time the show started? Because I feel like you would have been like
probably
a lot to explain.
She wasn't interested in the first couple sentences. I'm like, so she has really bad anxiety.
No, it gets a little hard to follow here. No, I'm out.
It's so fucking funny that you would say that though, because Eddie got out of the car and his wife, because we went to see the movie together. The first thing he says to his wife is, "You would have hated the movie." I got home, my husband, I go, "You would have hated the movie." Again, I'm like, who is this? Who is this movie for? Which brings, I guess, to the point that it is not doing well in theaters, despite it being a good movie, despite it being enjoyable, despite it being 70% both from critics and audience members on Rotten Tomato, but also like it's a fucking ordeal.
I would love to have been in the room, like in A24, I suppose, when they asked the question of who exactly is this movie for? Because apparently they didn't. They were just like, "Yep, greenlit."
Well, all right. So let's get into this part of it, right?
And I kind of love that as a flex. Like to me, it's like, this is one of the great blank check flexes. Right?
Yeah,
and we'll see.
So this is the movie that Ari Aster has wanted to make for 11. He's been playing this movie for 11 years.
Fantastic.
It definitely feels like that.
Well, this is like literally he has.
He went to a production of Puppeteer to the Penis and said, "I have an idea for a film."
Got it.
So he spent 11 years on this, coming up with ideas for this. And
I wonder it's so damn long.
The reason it was originally 4 hours. He cut it down to 3.
Yeah. Can you imagine what he cut out? Good Lord.
And I do have a clip of him and Nathan Fielder interviewing him about some of that stuff. But so he made Midsommar, made Hereditary. I mean, other order, but and then he was like, "Hey, there's this movie that I've wanted to make." They knew he wanted to make it, and now that he had the goodwill from 2 movies that were really successful, he was like, "I'm gonna make the movie that I've wanted to make, that I've been telling you guys I want to make." That everyone's like, "Please don't make this movie."
Yeah, none of these crowd-pleasing blockbusters like Hereditary and Midsommar. Yeah, no, we're gonna go deep on this one.
So he basically earned them so much money that he was finally able to make this like monstrosity of a magnum opus, pretty much.
There's a lot of production value in this.
Yeah, he's like the Jodorowsky of mommy issues.
He put a whole play inside, and I have to say, the technical, the tech in that play is beautiful. The way the stage and the set moved, it was astounding.
The trees where the trees are like rotating for the seasons. That's so cool.
What was the prosthetics budget?
So the entire budget of the movie I was looking this up, 35 million, which Hereditary cost 10 million, Midsommar cost 9 million. I would have thought that Midsommar cost more. There's so many I guess they got Swedes to work for cheaper, maybe.
Yeah, costuming though.
They already have healthcare. They don't need it.
They shot this film in Quebec. It should have been cheap.
What was I gonna say?
See, I feel like this movie fries your brain.
It does. It leaves you a little addled. But the problem with this is they're saying it's not even going to break even. And so where will that leave Ari Aster? Because I can think of several directors for whom this happened. They got enough clout. They made their thing. It flunked so bad. And then they stumbled for several years. Like
look at Toby
Shyamalan
Hooper.
had that.
Toby with Life Force, which I love Life Force, but I was like the one person. Well, and any other red-blooded American male, but and Andy. I mean Andy and like every other and a bunch of horny kids. Anyway, but that was not a popular movie.
I saw the edited for TV version and loved it.
What was it?
And then I saw the unedited one, and I'm like, oh,
yeah, now I get it. Yeah, all right.
But this is kind of the
and Toby Hooper was like, and she's gonna be naked the entire time, and everyone's like, great idea. Here's $1 million.
But this is kind of the paradox of the movie, and I wonder how it's going to do once it's released on streaming or something like that. But most of the people that have committed to going and seeing it, right? Both critics and audiences have enjoyed it.
Enjoyed it,
that haven't, but I mean, as you said, there's a 70% Rotten Tomatoes score on both critics and audiences. Like the majority of people who have taken the time out to go, all right, I'm going to commit to this 3-hour panic attack. Probably Ari Aster fans, as I am. I mean, to a pretty insane degree. I mean, I think that he's brilliant. I mean, you either think he's brilliant or you don't. And if you don't, you're probably not going to want to go see Beau is Afraid.
Yeah. You can also appreciate this as art, but not necessarily like it too. That's okay too. You don't have to. You don't have to like every piece of art. You can appreciate the artistry of it. You can appreciate, there's a lot to appreciate here. But I remember what I was thinking. What would was Paul Schrader jealous of the play within a play? Play within a movie.
Oh, like for Mishima, you talking about?
Yeah.
No, it's definitely
because this was like Mishima on crack.
And Mishima's not exactly a summer blockbuster to begin with. Yeah, you're right. But you're not wrong about that.
This is almost like Mishima meets Joker,
on meth.
Yeah, this is because there's obviously Joaquin Phoenix is the most is the through line anyway, but the whole city in turmoil, the kind of depressed kind of psychotic character. Of course, in Beau's case, he's just mad anxious, and in Joker, he's psychopathic. But
so I think that's a really interesting point that I kind of wanted to think about. So Joaquin Phoenix in Joker, also Beau is Afraid, kind of becomes an inadvertent incel.
Yeah, me too.
Like poster child, and I feel like if you look at this movie with the question, is Beau an incel? He's an unreliable narrator. Maybe his mom actually has done everything she could do for him. She's paying for his life, his entire fucking life. This adult child is still sucking off of her. And he's a fucking disappointment. He can't make a single decision. He makes everybody else make a decision for them and then feels like the victim when they make these decisions. This sounds like the incel handbook. So if you watch this movie and you want to feel like this man is a hero, it's kind of like that Joker thing. And so why is Joaquin in both of these movies? Is that a joke that the director is making with us? This is a farce. That's not what you should think.
Well, interestingly, Patti LuPone, who plays the mother, her take on her character is
which she's great.
Yeah,
she's great at being that type of woman, and
But her take is that that she's paying for everything.
Right.
He's not the actress, but the mother is paying for everything for him and is giving him everything she can and is working, and he's such a disappointment and keeps failing, and so that is her take on the movie, which you have to wonder what conversations she had with Ari Aster, because she's a terrifying character within this story, but that doesn't necessarily mean she's a terrifying character. We're not. It's not like you're getting it from the the old horse's mouth here or whatever. You're deep into a guy's paranoid psychosis by the end of it.
Yeah, and how pathetic to be like, my mom told me if I had sex I'd die, and you never asked anyone else for clarification or backup on that.
Sounds reasonable. Yeah, okay.
I guess you don't have to be responsible for talking to girls.
He has a whole ass therapist too. Like you think that
Yeah.
Love the actor who played the therapist.
That guy's rad. Yeah.
That
Let's
guy's
let Andy in on this,
rad.
but yeah, I agree.
Sorry,
He's-
Andy.
No, I was just gonna say oh man, I'm just like terrible tonight. I don't even know what I'm
That's
talking
it. That's
about.
your one shot. See, now your anxiety is going to kick in.
Yeah, no, it's
Well, I'll just interject that I think a very surface level analysis that I saw when this movie first came out is that everything's being blamed on Patty LuPone, who's like as the mother figure, and I was like, if you think that that's the takeaway from this, like you were barely paying attention because it's very clear. Again, he is not only an unreliable narrator, you're tripping as hard as this movie is tripping. If you think that any of this is like on the face of it exactly what's happening, because it clearly is not at any point.
And
Maybe the
like,
first scene? I don't know. Even that I don't know, you know?
As an actress too, like you have to, everybody is a hero in their own story. And if you get a role, either you're gonna have complete like just go ham and be the bad guy, or internalize like why you're the hero of the actual story. Like when Do the Right Thing came out, Danny Aiello was just like, oh, my character wasn't racist. And it's like, no, actually your character was racist, but it's not overt racism. Like there's a lot of internalized racism in that character.
But he had his story and how he was playing it. And
exactly. And that's what made it great.
I'm not racist, I'm Italian. We're not white.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine though, like if Beau was your kid? Jesus Christ!
Well, and you get a sense of it when he's on the phone with her, and he's like, "What should I do? What should I do? Should I come?" Like it's this frantic energy. He can't make his own decisions.
Kids,
And she's like, all right, yeah, you lost your keys, you missed your okay, sure, man, whatever. Like I get it. I get being that level of frustrated if that's you've dealt with that with the entire life.
He can't even stop a teenage girl from drinking a bucket of paint. Like take the paint from her before she drinks it. He's so I'm sure you guys all know the Shamil and the Shamil and Shamazel. Sorry, I'm trying to say that.
Incorporated.
Yes, right. No, yes, and also no. It's a concept in Yiddish like literature where there's these two different characters. The best way to describe it is the Shamil is the guy who spills the soup on the Shamazel. One is like unlucky, and the other one's just an idiot. And I feel like Beau wants to be both of those characters in our story: the idiot and the victim of his own idiocy.
I think they de-Jewed that and made it Goofus and Gallant for Highlights magazine, if I remember correctly.
Oh, God, it's so much easier to say, too.
Yeah.
I also find the play within it kind of fascinating because of that.
I thought it was like of all. There's a few like okay, so if you were like the Phantom Edit, sort of like here's your task of like cut this down a little bit. I would leave all that stuff. That stuff's great. That's like it's so immersive and like so. Like it would work if that was the whole movie, and it's not.
And the animation crew on that, fantastic.
So awesome. So that Joseph Campbell thing that I put in the intro, right, where he's talking about how the hero's journey, and these characters are hero Beau's wife, hero Beau's children. This is supposed to be the hero's journey. Like what this movie would be if he was successfully chasing after what he wants, and if he had been able to make those decisions, and if he was in a relationship and had kids and had this more successful life, and then tragedy struck, right? Like that's kind of the
it's like the beat boards, right? Because when you're writing a script, there's like depending on if you're using software or something, they have these things called beat boards, right? So you have like certain things where it's like all hope is lost, but then redemption and this and that, and it's like verbatim, like it's the Joseph Campbell thing. But then with the thing that like at the terminus of the story, like it's happening with him being in the theater watching it, which is that sort of like Ari Aster, like Inception kind of like worlds within worlds thing.
Yeah, and it I think if you time the film, you can see it fits in like 3 acts. Yeah. So it definitely was. It in itself was play-esque. I kind of want to throw one to Andy because I feel like when they went from the live action to the animation, it was so seamless. And I know as a comic artist, like, how do you feel about that?
Well, that's all the time we have.
Yeah, you're going to turn me into.
I'm bowing you. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Yeah.
Yes.
we've heard of begging, but now there's bowing.
Yes. No, I really thoroughly enjoyed like the surrealness of it. It's you know, a bit like I can't think of the book off the top of my head, but there's a great comic where all the flashbacks are done and like different time periods, and the art style is done in the art style of that time period, like what was in vogue for comics.
Nice.
It was something a little like that, but a lot more seamless. Like that's jarring, you know, whenever you're reading it. All of a sudden, it's like, you know, everybody has big muscles and tons of pouches. But
Damn you, Rob Liefeld.
I know. Oh, yeah. But nobody has feet because he can't draw those.
Yeah, right, exactly. Everyone had the
Just
exactly.
points.
But so this is the hero's journey.
That dude made a living doing comic art. Can you believe that? Like a good living. Like he was like the guy for a while. It's like, why is he the guy? Why?
there are actually good reasons, but that's a whole other podcast.
No, I know there are, but like he's so terrible at like he should have had like a foot understudy or something.
Well,
you know what I mean? Or
it just goes to show you, if you're worried about getting your art out there because you think it's not good enough, just get it out there. Just do it.
Exactly.
You might be the next Rob.
Yeah, who cares if you can't draw feet?
Fuck it. No, who cares?
Doesn't
Drop
matter.
points.
Nobody
Move
cares.
He's still working.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Sure is. Yeah, it's probably
Fucking
making
A.
a better living than anyone on this.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Quite so.
Moving on.
But no, so there's like, you know, the hero's journey thing, right? Where it's in the 3 parts, and it's like separation, initiation, return, and it's supposed to be, you know, it's the same thing as like leaving childhood and adolescence or whatever. And I like that line where he's like, you know, the adventure they usually get is the adventure that you can handle, pretty much, and he just can't handle anything. So that's kind of where the whole
refusal
thing
of the call to adventure. Yeah, it's in the thing. Yeah.
But he just keeps refusing.
Nice.
But like,
because he always refuses to make any decision or do any action.
But then that's called out too, right? Like it's talking about, you know, like the whole thing. Which, by the way, like when he first gets to the house that has, you know, we just keep the spare vet in the backyard in this Airstream because that's a great thing to do. But like you have to think of like, oh yeah, we can't bury her. We can't bury her without you.
They hinted that the vet killed their other kid. They're like, he started mowing down his entire company.
Yeah. It's strongly implied that he had something to do with it. But like the whole phone call, right? Which is like, oh yeah, we can't bury her until you show up. So you need to show up, man. And then like, just this like, and he still was like, he has like this deep anxiety about it, but he doesn't take any action. He doesn't really push back. Like, and it's pointed out that what's the actor's name? He's great.
Richard Kind.
Richard, like he even was like, well, we could go now, and he's like, no, it's fine.
Which I'm like, is that Richard Kind or Andy?
Oh no,
Kidman?
that's Nathan Lane that you're talking about.
Nathan Lane,
that actor.
Yeah.
Richard Kind is the guy who tells him that we won't bury the mom until you show up.
Right.
Both of those are amazing comedic actors.
Great.
Strange to see them in a movie like this, and yet.
Did you ever see Nathan Lane on The Blacklist?
No.
He played a villain.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, I saw the first couple episodes of that, and I liked it. I never came back to it.
Yeah, no, the thing is like the show, it was really only good for a while whenever it was just James Spader and like a really good actor, and it's the both of them just like sharing scenes and chewing scenery apart. And the Nathan Lane episode is a standout in that part.
Yeah, Lindsay watched all of them, and that's basically the same thing she said was just, it's like, yeah, like there's great episodes in it, but it kind of loses the plot big time.
Yeah. So just appreciate the art.
What's her name? The actress. She's great. I can't remember her name. She was in The Office too.
She's in The Office. Can't remember her name either.
I can't remember. Every time I see her, I'm like, oh yeah, her. She's cool.
She was in Only Murders in the Building. Also Nathan Lane.
Yes, that's right.
I love when I can tell you everything about an actress besides their name.
Their name? No, exactly. I can't remember it either, so that's fine.
Fantastic.
Amy Ryan.
I remember it's because it's 2 first names. I never remember those.
And Amy also both her and Amy Adams were in The Office. And
that's right. Yeah, Amy Adams was just like a one episode arc.
Yeah, but still, it's like
it's memorable.
Yeah. So this is them talking about there.
Nice.
Between one take when they were resetting that set, Joaquin and I were out in the yard covered in paint, and we just started laughing, we're like, this is our job. This is our job. Like, what are we doing to ourselves? This is our chosen profession,
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me. I'm really excited to talk about your roles in the movie, especially. It was one of my favorite parts. First of all, Amy, can you talk about what it was like filming the paint scene? I feel like that must have been one of the most intense and also quite messy.
Yes, you're right in both. There's a little bit of maybe I put this on myself, but like, this is one you kind of want to get right in one take, maybe two, because it's a lot to clean up and reset the scene. I don't know about giving too much away, but, walking into that room, which for Grace, that is a sanctuary, that is her dead son's room. No one is to mess with it. So the horror upon horror of what she finds when she bursts through that door. And we have a really talented special effects team, and it felt very real to me. So I feel like not much acting need apply here. And then just, there's a lot of levity and humor on the film, and in between one take when they were resetting that set, Joaquin and I were out in the yard covered in paint, and we just started laughing. We're like, this is our job. This is our job. Like, what are we doing to ourselves? This is our chosen profession, And with that, like, be it that scene or any of the others in our chapter with Nathan, like, there was such trust because there was so much humor, there was so much pressure taken off the severity of the situation. But it was still intense to film.
And what was it like working with Ari Aster? Do you feel like having a familiarity with his past films prepared you in any way for what acting in this entail?
It would be very hard if you only knew his films and you had never met him or heard him speak or see an interview. Like, the two don't quite match up, like what you would imagine someone who could create these films would be like. But
yeah. No, he looks like a Jewish youth pastor.
Youth pastor, Jewish pastor.
I don't know what I'm saying. I've been here a long time. He's
Nathan Lane
horrible.
canceled.
What else can you say? You just want to put him on a Ritz and eat him. He's hilarious and smart and just kind and compassionate and does not seem like the twisted individual who would have written anything like this. And he's a master filmmaker. So he's just it's an exciting and joyous thing to get to work with somebody like that.
And for my last question, real quick here at the end, Nathan, what was it like working with Joaquin? Because I know he couldn't look directly at you during filming.
Oh, you watched The Tonight Show, huh?
I did.
After we broke the ice with one another, he found me amusing. And so at a certain point, and because my character is
amusing,
perhaps duplicitous, he's perhaps pretending certain things. So he would say to me, I can't look you in the eye or I'll start to laugh. Which I considered a high praise coming from a serious artist like Mr. Joaquin Phoenix. Look, we did have a great time together, all of us. It was just, we laughed a lot because of, sometimes the absurdity of the situation. And, but he was, he's also not only a great artist, but a total mensch.
Well, thank you so much for
Oh, there you go.
I don't think I could be in like a serious scene with Nathan Lane or something and not start laughing. That guy, he's just such a funny dude.
It's a pretty funny
Mhm.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah, like
That
his,
is a-
his affectations or whatever, like just everything about him.
In the 90s, he's like, I'm, like auditioning for roles. He's like, I'm too fat for the gay roles and I'm too gay for the straight roles.
That's great. I love how that whole section unfolds too, which again, like the whole drink this paint with me. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just like what, and then like his reaction and everything, and then like her tagging up like the bedroom, and then him like taking the blame for it. Like it's just it escalates so quickly, and it's
Well, it's almost like with Parker Posey later on. It's like every woman kind of coerces him into making a quick decision that he perceives as being life threatening. Even Elaine early on in the kissing, he's like, "Oh God, I might die from kissing." Like it's so pathetic that if something happens without enough time, he just fuses and he fugues out and freezes.
Yeah.
Although I was gonna say about the laughing on set, I bet that people. I mean, everything was so fucking uncomfortable. You have to laugh to like ease that tension out, and it's interesting how this movie doesn't ease its tension. A lot of horror movies will do a like, and then a scare and let you have it down. This just fucking boils you. Just boils this shit out. And you'd think you'd kind of desensitize to it, and after maybe like 2 hours, you'd stop. No, maybe 3 hours. No, it's literally right until the end. You're just like, I can't really breathe very well.
And like you're just sitting there at the ending, like the ending credits are going up, and nobody moved in the theater.
No,
it's like the Curb Your Enthusiasmization of art films.
And there are, I think, similarities to the humor that Ari Aster has in this and Curb Your Enthusiasm too. Like,
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know people that are like, I can't watch that show. I'm like, I get it, I love it, but I totally get it because you're like, no, stop doing, no, stop back, no, just don't say anything. You're like, whatever.
Ari Aster also, he fakes you out when Joaquin Phoenix, like Beau, wakes up in Amy Ryan and Nathan Lane's house after getting hit, and like you feel like this is going to be a sanctuary. Like the colors are different, you know what I mean? Like there's sunshine. They seem so nice in the beginning, before you know that they may or may not be employees. But still, like there's the unreliable narrator part of it where you don't know if that's his. He's imagining like, oh, everybody's setting me up. And that's why I haven't ever been able to make a decision. Like they're all setting, like this is some big plot against me. So you don't know any of that. But you feel like there's going to be maybe a respite, and he's like in a new situation, and he's kind of unfolding into a new thing. And then within just minutes, right? Like everything starts being menacing again. Like I love the girl giving him the stare while talking to the fucking that guy who probably killed their son. Like
like, but you can't hear what they're saying. Yeah, well, maybe. Yeah, I mean, there's some kind of parasocial relationship happening there, but yeah, you can't see. It's specifically done well because you can kind of like sort of make out like what she's saying, like with lip reading, but you can't really tell, which is it's so well shot because that's hard to pull off. It's hard to do right.
And it's also very like. So when I think of comparing it to a movie like Brazil, where you're clearly not watching something that's real, the costumes don't feel real, nothing feels real, the absurdity kind of knocks you out.
It's that Gilliam-esque extra sort of thing. Yeah.
This movie is absurd and surreal, and yet it's like it can't be true, but also like it's still the images they're using are still very true. I think Aster's very great about not falling back on any kind of like horror language that might have a pattern recognition for you, where for people like us, we could be like, okay, so close the mirror, there's the monster. At best, it's a turnaround scare. There's this tactical wheel of horror. And Aster's just like, I don't even use a wheel. And you're just like, God damn it, what's gonna, and it's so hard to breathe. Because you don't
bastard.
know. Yeah.
Well, and I kept waiting. And later on, you understand why, right? But like, I was like, what is this guy's job? Like, what is he doing? Oh, he's not. His job is being like an anxious fail son. Okay, so that makes sense now because you were like, how does this guy get to work? Like,
of a pharmaceutical magnet that it would seem like the pills that he's taking are the pills that later on he's in like the poster for, right? Like
he basically probably does like a shoot once in a while. Well, he started off doing it as a kid. Clearly, you see, this is all kind of done as like a collage. You see all the different pharmaceutical ads, and then you kind of see it stop, and then you're like, oh, okay, so he probably just like couldn't even handle that. which is like nothing. That's like his mom being like, no, you've got a job. You're the spokesmodel for my, stuff, this and that.
Yeah.
And then he just like fucked that up and wasn't able to do that. And like was probably ruled by his anxiety for reasons why he couldn't do that too.
It's really, really amazing. In the scenes with Nathan Lane and Amy Ryan, so impressed. I remembered her name there. Fuck yeah.
Very good.
Oh, I almost bobbled it. What do you guys think about the scene where she swipes the napkin over to him and it says, "Stop incriminating yourself"?
So to me, that's where it kind of inherent vice a little bit, like, meaning like, that sort of Crime of Lot 49, there's secret stuff going on and you don't necessarily know like all of the elements of it. And I think that's his projection of just like feeling like deeply uncomfortable in like a situation and trying to like find a logical reason for it.
Yeah. And I guess because incrimination would be to have committed some sort of crime, and he is always guilty for something that he is not even sure that he committed.
Well, the therapist guy, he writes down guilty. On his pad,
it's a bit of foreshadowing. It's all leading up to the trial at the end, and we don't know it because like what are they foreshadowing? Because there's that note, and then when they show the mosaic of the mother, like made up of all the employees at the funeral, and they zoom in, Nathan Lane's one of those workers.
They all are, yeah.
Yeah, everybody in the movie.
And again, that comes down to the projection of it too, right? Because I know people that have been reviewing this that are like therapists are like, nobody would ever do that. I'm like, yeah, no shit, really? Yeah. You think
nobody would ever do it?
Because it didn't happen. Because that's what he's thinking the therapist is doing. Yeah. Like that's sort of like everyone, like everybody is so. This is a problem I have with quote unquote react culture. Is everyone is like, oh well, that's not. It's like, yeah, it's not meant to be. Congratulations. Like you scratch the thinnest surface of like the inception of anxiety movies. So congratulations.
Yeah, that's the story he's telling himself. But that is basically what PTSD is. Like there's a trigger, then you feel like you're in that original situation that's bad enough, the water bathroom situation, that you feel like you're gonna be killed, even though the stimuli around you is not inherently applicable to that, and he always fugues out after those. It does feel like a DSM-5 kind of like textbook explanation, and to see people be like, oh, that's why it's stupid. Like, no, that's how it's trying to talk to you.
No, and that's like look, maybe it's not your thing, but for me, I thought that was incredibly clever and really cool. And like again, talk about that bathtub scene, right? You get like this moment of respite he's taking in this screwed up house where everything is terrible, and then like you sit with them for like a while, and then you look up and there's like the dude. This is like
I
that
almost
was another moment I was
this.
like cackling like a supervillain. I was like, holy shit.
I almost want to talk about this without Forrest, because I know how much he liked this scene.
Yeah. Well, and then the whole like brown recluse thing and all. I mean, like it was so. It got me on that one because I bought it. It's like, oh, it's taking a beat. It's doing the thing you're talking about, Katie, where you would be like, you save it up and then build it back up again. It's like, oh no, nope.
And the like drops of sweat as they fall.
Because you see them, yeah.
Like tears down his own cheeks from above. Yeah. Like, and then the guy gives him this, I also wish this wasn't happening face.
Right. It's like, but it's almost like if it was a cartoon, it'd be like, buddy, you should hear about my problems. It's like, I've been up for 24 hours.
And then what happens is exactly what I said to you guys earlier. It's literally every worst intrusive thought I've ever had. I'm naked. I'm being attacked. I'm underwater. There's something venomous. It's tiled, so it's slippery. Like, and then I run out naked into public. God.
Yeah. And then somebody stabs me because I've been found naked, unconscious. Yeah.
The cops mistake me for a serial killer.
It's so over the top.
They think their statue was a weapon.
Yeah.
You have to get to a point where even though you're panicked with him because here's our protagonist, you're also laughing because how could all of this happen?
He goes up to the cop and the cop's gonna shoot him, which is
I don't know, checks out.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, as we were saying, he's Fox News, he's very built up by the news, by what he's told, not what he's experienced, because he doesn't want to experience anything. The whole world is fucking scary.
Yeah, and that cop certainly went from just talk to the woman to be completely panicking, which does check out,
Mm-hmm. I also feel like this movie could be at points an argument for generational trauma, and I think that like you see that in Hereditary, so it's like a thing that Ari Aster is definitely into. But
And
Mhm.
Midsummer.
And it's about the idea that like he's carrying this anxiety for guilt he didn't do, and the play kind of alludes to this like in another life maybe you had gotten accused of a crime you didn't commit and you lost all these things, and like it's just keeping, and the mother even says like my mother fucked me up so I'm fucking you up, and they just keep passing this anxiety to each other. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, and I think that all the cruise ship stuff works too, because again, you have like these pronounced moments where it's like, oh yeah, that probably is a thing that maybe they did find it, dead guy in a swimming pool and this and that. But then it's also like the thing that, which is like, don't ever, like whatever the exact quote is, I can't remember. Like as he's leaving, it's like, whoa, really? Like, are you sure she said that?
Exactly. And also,
you sure about that?
and I also find it very comical to note that when we meet Elaine's picture, it's in his nightstand and it's also in his Ziploc bag.
Yes. And it says, and what does it say? It says, I forget what it says on it, but like,
it's like, yeah.
It says something like "enjoy this" or something. Like, what does it say? Like, I'm trying to remember. But,
I don't remember.
But yeah, like it's. Well, and that's like if you haven't picked up at that point, it's an unreliable narrator thing. I don't know what to tell you. Like, you're just. You need to be on this medication. Drink some water.
Yes.
But I it's like I think all that works because it makes sense that he would be like have this fixation from a child, from like this girl that he engaged with, and that like would invent something in his mind that would like stop him from ever doing anything or interacting in any way, shape, or form later on, because he had this what seems like it's always on the verge of getting an inappropriate close relationship with his mother.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, there's also I think there's a level of inherent guilt that comes with being a young and if you look at this movie as like his inability to get out of that phase of like pre-adolescence and his inability to turn into an adult, right? Like he's just stuck in this childhood mold where all the things he was afraid of as a child, he's still afraid of as an adult. He can't move forward. His mother still has the same presence that she did when he was a kid. His father's a giant dick. But if you look at it that way, there's an inherent guilt, I think, that comes with like masturbating as a child. And why it's like a protective shield, I think, over the picture pretty much, or kissing a girl for the first time, right? Like there's a bit of
like even when she's like, okay, you have like 5 seconds to do it, or she's, I don't remember what the number is, like that kind of like, come on, really? Really, come on. We did talk about Forest While You're Gone, the brown recluse scene, and the dude with the "How do you think I feel?" above the bathtub, like that situation.
I'm very afraid of brown recluse, but like I used to be, at least. Like I have, I come from a long line of anxious people. Both my parents, that like they constantly fight because I think a big part of it is how anxious they both are as people. So they would always be like, at first it was black widows. I don't think they had heard of brown recluse spiders. And then after that, it was like, oh, well, black widows aren't really a problem here. Well, maybe it's brown recluse spiders. I found out like 2 weeks before seeing this movie, they don't even have brown recluse spiders in New York. That's not like there's no, like.
It's like a Southern thing. I mean.
Yeah. Well, it's like being afraid you're going to find a banana spider in your banana. Is like, is it an urban myth? I don't know, but it's enough to keep me from getting bananas.
It's in the name of the spider. It must be popular.
I'm good. I'm
but
done.
it's another moment also where they fake you out.
I don't like bananas that much.
He's in the tub. He's finally relaxing. They fake you out. Of course, right above him is the same guy that's like the help me guy.
Yeah. Who's been up there for like, he's apparently Spider-Man, but like, he's been up there for a while.
And again, using that like reading lips situation where he's in the store getting the water and the guy is just frantically repeating, "Help me, help me, help me, help me."
Yeah.
It's so funny, but also upsetting. It's amazing how he found the exact line between like, ha ha, but also no, thank you.
I mean, and so much of it is in the reality of like living in an urban environment is like maybe one of those things would be happening. Like the help me guy, or the guy, you know, the birthday boy stab man, or you know, the guy with the face tats, like, you know, trying to get, like, one of those things happening would be like something that happens once in a while. But the fact that all of those things happening the entire time is why it's played for comedy, because it is comedic. And like the anxiety of, again, he lives in this hovel. It's like next to like the porn place. And and it's like you find out later, again, as this is pointed out earlier, his mom's paying for it. Like, do you really think his mom would like allow? Of course not. You know, she like just for a status thing alone, just for her.
It's just occurring to me now. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Andy. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Go for it.
No, I feel like I've talked a bunch. I want to hear what you have to
No,
say.
I was just going to bring up the flashback where he had the mom kind of tells a story about how you know, he was that they got separated at the mall, and she slipped and fell and all that stuff. And it almost seemed, you know, almost like what happened at the very beginning when you see the kid playing with the speedboat and the mom comes and takes him away. Like, it almost seems like that right there.
First, like 3 minutes of the movie or something.
Yeah,
Really
like
on,
literally
yeah.
one of the first things you see. Just about is like telling you immediately, like as you go on and you remember this part, and probably better in a rewatch, because, you know, I think we've all only seen it once.
Yeah.
Except for Forrest, who like stayed in the theater for 3 days.
But I was just too anxious. I couldn't leave.
Couldn't leave.
I think we see a couple of moms and different scenes where moms, and all the moms are having that like super anxious interaction with their kids. Yeah.
Yeah. Like nobody's having a normal one on that walk at all.
Because it's his lens. It's how he sees the interaction between any mom and any child. This is normal, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, just like hopping over the dead body and like the help me guy, and like like all of these like caricatures of just like anxiety tulpas that are all around him.
Yeah, I was going to say that I'm just realizing now that it really reminds me of all of the plays like Uncle Vanya from Chekhov.
Ooh,
and people say that like this is a drama, and Chekhov's like, no, 'tis a comedy. And the whole point is that everyone in the play is like, whoa, is me. And it's so exaggerated that Chekhov was like, this is funny. This is what people think Russians are like.
And he's like, here, hold on to this gun. It'll be useful later.
And then also he was like, I'm going to put this here, but don't talk about it, but it'll be important. Whereas like a lot of other people saw that and they thought like, wow, 'tis high drama. So yeah, this might be an older conceit that I'm just now realizing.
So I wanted to so the press run that Ari Aster's done for this movie has been kind of fascinating. He's both gone out with Nathan Fielder a bunch of times, and Nathan Fielder has not broken character as he's interviewed him about this. And Scorsese, like those are the two people that
who also has a broken character.
What a schizophrenic double choice. Okay,
why not? Yeah,
I think those are just his friends. Like he's Scorsese's favorite modern director. Scorsese has hyped up his work more than Ari Aster really has.
Better than a Marvel movie, let me tell you.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yes, I hoped while writing it and then making it, and now at this moment, I continue to hope that people connect with Beau. Did you guys connect with Beau?
Yeah. 50%. I think like 50% of people. Well, there really is no other character that you can really
give it up for anxiety.
If anyone connect with a different character besides Beau, I'd be so fascinated.
Patty Lupone.
Who? What was that? Who was the guy dancing?
The guy who's he's the salsa. He's actually a salsa teacher. It's a class.
Oh, okay.
It's a salsa class on the street. Well, I think part of connecting with Beau is the fact that everybody else is like this.
I too am afraid of something
malignant cartoon, right? Like this, like evil, false, like clown mirror of a person.
Yeah.
And so like that, and that reflects my experience.
And you looked at me right when you finished that sentence.
I could look anywhere and it would remain.
Because Beau, he's really trying hard. Like, he's trying his best. You can tell he was like trying to get to his mom, and we saw that he wasn't lying to her when he called, and you feel bad for him, kind of, right? Like he's trying to do his thing, and he keeps getting in these scenarios, and that daughter at that house really did one over on him.
Yeah, isn't that like life though? I mean,
how are you like, so because it's like, what is the reality of each scenario is so abstract sometimes. How are you like directing the performers in terms of if they have questions about, you know, what's actually happening here? What do you say to them?
well, it was different for everybody, but you know, I mean, it helps when you're casting a lot of like Broadway actors, you know, when the characters are like outsized. Because then you just don't need to tell them anything, and they just like kick the door down, and you know.
Yeah, the performances were amazing. Nathan Lane that was incredible too, right? Like he was, man. Yeah,
Nathan's amazing. Yeah, I was very, very excited to work with him.
Did you know him before?
No.
So what did you have to persuade him? Did you have to persuade anyone, or was everyone just like, oh, I'll do this, no problem?
I had to persuade Joaquin.
What did you say to do it?
I mean, it was like months.
This is some show. I mean, like, talk about like the perfect guy to talk to about this, though, right? I mean, again, like I feel like his whole thing is doing a character that just keeps going on, and yeah.
There's a second version of like, because they did, I guess, 2 events in one night. Joaquin Phoenix like wanders in halfway through and is like, I was in the wrong theater.
That's awesome. I mean, like I don't feel like this is hard to understand as long as you understand like the rules of engagement. And I think those are pretty, maybe it's, I just watch a lot of surrealist stuff, but like I thought it was pretty clear. I was like, from the beginning, it's like, oh no, this guy's deeply messed up, and you know, potentially tripping balls because he didn't drink the water at the right time, you know, and like that's just what's happening from here forward. Like he is the most unreliable. Like what you are seeing is probably not true the entire.
Which, by the way, the whole if you don't drink this with water, you'll die thing is very Curb Your Enthusiasm. Like you definitely see Larry David like taking a pill without water and be like. Like, you know what I mean? Like just
and then the water's turned off mysteriously because they're working on the pipes and you know, like whatever. And then he goes down to get the water and like
working on the pipes, Larry.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's again is, and I love that kind of stuff. So I'm just you know howling with laughter, even though everyone's like I'm confused.
Oh, and the other part of it, he runs across the street, and the Indian guy at the bodega is trying to say that he's going to call the cops over, you know, him not having the full
like 5 cents or whatever it is that he needs to complete the transaction.
He's like 5 more cents, 5 more cents. I'm going to call the police. I'm going to call the police. And he's like that.
I definitely think that you could enjoy this movie. Excuse me, enjoy this movie even if you don't enjoy the narration of the movie, which is a weird sentence to say. Like, there's so much going on, whether it's with the FX and the prosthetics, or the costumes, or the acting, or the way that it's put together, or the animation, or the stage design, that even if you're like, Jesus, I have no idea what this whole movie was about or what it was trying to tell me, I still feel like you could leave being like, wow, I feel like I understand film craft a little bit more.
Look at how his apartment was messed up.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, no, that's a great messed up apartment. Because it looks like damage that people could do in a short time period. I'm still wondering what's wrong with the microwave, but
don't open it. It says do
Don't
not
open it. Okay,
it.
it's,
Just throw it out.
you don't want to. Yeah,
I mean, and
shoot into the heart of the sun. Apparently, I don't know.
the other thing about this movie, I think, once I looked at like some of the Joseph Campbell stuff and like the concept of just not being able to leave childhood, like not being able to get into adulthood, being stuck in this kind of prepubescent, I guess, adolescence that he's stuck in he's essentially stuck in the same position he was when he was on the cruise ship, right? Like I understood the movie kind of perfectly after that because the big change that you expect, right? Like we're kind of I feel like we expect linear narratives where this character goes on a journey, he changes somehow, transforms, and then and then he makes his way home. There's some kind of triumphal thing. There just never is a triumphal thing in this because he's stuck in this prepubescent phase where he's unable to transform.
He's a man child. He's a man child. If you want that kind of storytelling, go watch presumably Plane. You'll probably find it.
I mean, if you want some kind of resolution to it, even though there really isn't a resolution to it, like Step Brothers.
Sure.
The end of that, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's definitely a movie that doesn't have a hero, that doesn't tell you the truth.
Well, it has a hero.
Doesn't really resolve. It's hard to root for him. He's such a shit. He's just a little shigget. Like I fucking hate him, and I'm glad that it ends the way that it ends. He gets what he deserves.
The other thing, when he's going through the play, right, and he does complete the hero's journey. He completes the Joseph Campbell, the full wheel around or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't complete it until he's like an old man. And he comes back and he wanders in and he finds his kids. That's not like he struggles through that, right? Like, and there's the guy that doesn't in the country or whatever, and they chase him out or whatever in the animation, and he has to go through all of the the animated snow, which I really liked, and the animated wind. Like, he has to travel all these places. He has to really sacrifice himself. He doesn't find his wife in the end; she's passed on. Like, there's all of these things. He's incapable of struggling like that because number one, he's incapable of making choices. Would have a destination in the end, but he's also completely incapable of struggling, really, like as he wanders through this movie, right? Like, people die around, like, he's not really affected by it in the same way that you were.
Look at the audience, like his dad. He finds his dad in the audience, and then like the crazy vet guy starts shooting people.
Yeah.
Like, and it's.
Well, I think it shouldn't confuse the story in the play for Beau's story, because like it immediately ends with them saying, then how did you have kids? Like, oh, you didn't complete the hero's journey. You're still a fucking child. You're still in Act 1.
Yeah, it's kind of mocking people too who are like mad about this movie. That whole play. It's just like, that whole section of it is just like, this is the movie that you want, but we're not telling it. And I think it also
like this is the movie you want, you fucking pigs in the audience. Here, there's a play. Like, you
Here's
get
the story.
And then we're literally going to tell you that that's not what you're seeing, basically.
Yeah.
We'll even put in James Gandolfini's son.
Yeah, exactly.
But the contrast to it is actually really fascinating because that contrast makes you kind of understand this. Like every single flashback, every single moment makes you understand the story better. I just watched this movie with a bunch of people who played Aunt May, playing different parts in it, and it was told not in order, and like it was trying to do what Beau Was Afraid did by trying to like not explain things to you, and then as you kind of figure stuff out, piece everything together, but it didn't quite succeed at doing that. Whereas Beau Was Afraid actually succeeded at trying to tell a story out of order, but not tell you.
What it's telling you is Beau be crazy. Like, that's really like it's not like it's telling you.
That's the underlying message.
Yeah. Well, because it's not telling you something underlying about him as a character. It's not telling, like, besides that he's out of his mind and he's like this man child that can't make any decisions. But like it has a very simple what he's afflicted with, I think, both anxiety and this mother issue that makes him unable to
PTSD.
Yeah, like unable to blossom, I guess, into an adult. That's all. Like, it's a very simple premise that it's telling you in a lot of insane different ways, and you get to see how messed up he is over the course of it. But it doesn't really change. It never really changes that core thing that you know from the very beginning. I think when he's on the phone with his mom, like, you're just getting more and more kind of layers to it, which I think is the way that you want to do that. You don't want to, you know, have too much of a narrative that you give about this character if you're going to go through their psychological state, I guess, because he's not like, you know, he's not transforming, he's not changing, his mental state is not changing the entire movie, it's not, and you're kind of just going deeper and deeper into his mind, you know, as he panics his way through getting to his mother's funeral,
which of course is not a, you know, it's a real funeral but not a real death, and like that sort of, and again, for people that still haven't gotten at that point, it's like, okay, really, you don't get this yet? You really don't get this yet? Okay.
I love too that the funeral was open casket.
And his
the open casket headless funeral. Yeah, exactly.
Well, and his hands shoot out and he starts choking her, which I mean is violent and kind of whatever, but it is a choice. And then he can't even follow through on that. He's
exactly.
Like,
yeah.
Can't follow through on anything. Exactly. And I think that. So we haven't really talked about Parker Posey. I'm a big Parker Posey fan. I was talking to KT about this, that I actually think she's kind of got, like, we're overdue for a Parker Posey resurgence, because especially Clock Watchers, House of Yes, like that era. Like, I mean, she well respected at the time. Like, she was like the indie queen for a while.
But it's hard not to think about her drunk, going to the fucking party and fucking. I never remember. I always get, no, I always get Fast Times at Ridgemont High and the Linklater one confused. The titles for them. But she's the air raid girl. It's like air raid, and then she's drunk and she fucking wanders through and she's like, "Lick me!" Oh, Dazed and Confused. That's Confused. That's the first movie that I always think of with Parker.
Which is fine. She's great in it, and there's a lot of movies that are like very mid that she's great in. I like Dazed and Confused quite a bit. I think that's
no, I love that movie. But
like the thing,
but just her line, "Lick me!" Like when she's
right. The thing with Parker Posey though is, like, if you look at like the stuff that she's been given the past like 10 or 15 years, like she was in that very like mid to bad Superman movie as like Lex Luthor's like, you know, chick and stuff like that.
Blade
where it's
Trinity.
Like, this is
the worst of the Blade movies.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you're not giving this woman, who's a fantastic actress, anything like solid to work with. And like consistently for honestly like well over a decade, you know, arguably 2 decades. So it's great to see her actually utilize in a, you know, where she actually gets to do acting, but gets to do so in a way that she, like, her presence, it makes sense here. Because think about how Beau has her, like, this person that you knew as a child, like, blown up in the large proportions, like, you know, in his mind.
Well, do you really think it's Elaine?
Well, exactly. Who knows? Maybe
because I mean, he says to his mom, like, she worked for you, and she goes, "Oh, honey, do you really believe that's true? Like, do you even think that woman was Elaine?" There's so many questions to have.
It almost doesn't matter because he thinks it is, and
exactly. That's the whole thing. Is if Beau thinks he's under attack, it kind of counts.
Like it could just be like an employee that, like, you know, whatever, like that there was grievances, and like she showed up at the funeral late and got a little toasted, and all right, whatever, I'm down for it.
But Parker Posey, another great comedic actress. Really
Best
good
in show.
Comedic.
Hello. Yeah.
You know that she got the braces for real for that?
I thought it would be impossible for me to love her more, but
she was like, you know, I kind of needed braces work, and she had a lisp with the fake ones in. So she's like, I'm just do it. Just get real braces.
So
that's not a bee. It's a bear in a bee costume.
I know. So this is more from this interview that this guy who I played the same guy that's interviewing him in this when we did our Midsummer episode, which Conan, you weren't on for, but
I propose that episode be decanonized because it's really what was Amy Bell's thoughts on Midsummer is what that was.
Yeah,
which is a different show. They have a show for that.
So this is talking about getting the Mariah Carey song,
which is crazy. It's crazy that that's the song. That's a song they use. Isn't that nuts? Like, it's sort of like, I was like, is that Mariah Carey? And I was like, oh Christ, it is. Okay,
she's got a good sense of humor, I guess.
Anxiety or guilt in the making of this film?
Yeah, I mean, the
The movie's called Beau's Afraid.
Yeah, but it's very much about. I mean, it's about guilt. I don't really know what else to say about it, but yeah, it's about guilt and anxiety and ambivalence more than almost anything. I think ambivalence is a very particular kind of hell. I wanted to make something that was like, that was very seriously about that. And, it's about like an unlived life. It's about somebody who's really trapped.
Were you thinking about pharmaceuticals when you were making the film?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about a lot of things, but I was thinking about pharmaceuticals. I was thinking about, parents and children and inheriting, this, a world that's awful, from in quotes, parents, and then, but there's like an indignation about the children not being more grateful, right? For it.
Yeah. Can we talk about Mariah Carey?
Sure. What can I tell you?
You make it sound like I'm going to ask you a generic Mariah Carey story, like, oh, when was her first hit?
Well, no. If anything, it's just it comes late in the movie. So.
Well, I'm not going to spoil it.
Okay.
You kidding me?
Yeah.
Kidding me? I don't want to spoil it.
Okay.
Did you talk to Mariah Carey personally about having a song in the film?
I wrote her a letter, and we sent her the scene with the song playing. We got approval pretty early on. And again, we sent her the scene. So I just figured once we got the approval that she must be like really busy. And she was not able to watch the scene. So
I don't know. I think maybe she saw it and she was like, yeah, I mean,
no, I think now I do because I met her recently.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And she said that she really liked the scene and appreciated my letter. I am really happy that song is there. It was in the script, and I was challenged in post to consider another song because it was it had a price tag attached to it, and I couldn't. There's nothing. We tried something like 300 other songs, and there were some songs that that worked in one way or another, but nothing came close to what that song kind of did to that scene.
That sounds easy compared to that movie Skip Trace with Jackie Chan, where they had to get the rights for Rolling in the Deep from Adele, and Adele's people would not approve it, and so finally, they called up the director Rennie Harlan called up Adele, and he's like, "Hey, can we sing Rolling in the Deep in our movie?" And she's like, "It depends who's singing it." And they go, "Jackie Chan." And she's like, "Okay."
Yes.
No, but I like the idea. He's like, well, they challenged me to maybe consider another song.
Yeah, maybe one that doesn't cost like multiple millions of dollars. Yeah,
but then he's like, and we tried, maybe 300, and I was like, huh, that's a little more than considering. Like that's
yeah.
That's how much it needed. It does need it though.
I mean, it's perfect, but
perfect.
Yeah, I mean. It does what it's supposed to do, and also that's one of the few times that I called what was going to happen. I was like, oh, I bet like he's it'll be fine for him, and like she's gonna have an aneurysm or something.
Well, he shoots his toxic load into her, right? Like he's such a toxic and like caustic character that I feel like he poisons her essentially.
Yeah, because he broke the condom.
I like this picture. Hold on.
But I like how the after effect is she's just like paralyzed into like a wax.
Oh yeah, no, she goes into immediate rigor mortis because that's how he thinks of a dead body. The other and like both girls have immediate like blown out eyes as if they've had a brain aneurysm. Even though one drank paint and the other one got
every character in this pretty much has those same blown out eyes.
Yeah,
like that's something that they include all throughout it. Like it's almost like he's going around kind of forcing these aneurysms into people.
Yeah, well, or another thought that I had, and this is a big reach, was that the dad actually committed suicide, as bugged out eyes would be like a hung thing, and a lot of people hang themselves in attics, and his dad is in the attic. The fear is of the attic, and so all these bodies have this same sort of first I saw death kind of look. But that's a big reach.
Turns out he was just hanging brain.
I know.
But I love the picture of Mariah Carey,
Heyo.
Cozy, and Ari Aster just kind of kicking it.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're both like holding on to her, like, look, it's Mariah Carey.
Yeah, we got her.
You gotta touch her to make sure she's real.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, she doesn't know her, you know.
Well, but yeah, like I mean, I think you bring up a good point.
Ari Aster, I don't know her.
Like whether it's the same girl that when he was a kid or not, it doesn't matter because it's like it's in his fevered like just like divorce from reality brain.
I'm sure all girls are that same first girl.
Yeah, and anyone he's got like an interest in, or exactly, just retcons.
And also, I mean, she clearly didn't wait for him and has like her own issues that she's dealing with like other substances, and she decides to sleep with him right away. Like, this is kind of like, I guess not spoiled, but like in his mind, there's like something he's been building up and building up and building up, and then the girl herself is like kind of a train wreck.
Yeah.
He ends up,
Well, I again, when she came in and she's like, the original tone she gives him at the door is so very like uptone to uptone that she's like, yeah, I'm this girl, sure.
Yeah.
And then she immediately starts robbing the mom. So like,
right, she doesn't waste any time whatsoever with it. Yeah,
she's like,
it's
I'm
very
that
comfortable.
Girl. I'm that girl. Sure. Do you want to go into your mom's room?
Whatever you say, kid. Yeah, let's go.
fucking A, exactly. Little did
where's the
she know.
safe?
Exactly.
I feel like there's a TV show that I saw that did that one time, where he's like, "Oh, are you related to me?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm your uncle," or something like that. And he's like, "Yeah, where does your parents keep the old silver?"
Yeah. Well, but I still love it because again, like it almost seems like with a lot of these characters, you kind of have like a whole like movie about like what led them to this spot, right? Where it's like, what's their story? What's their deal? But it's movies utterly uninterested in that because Beau is uninterested in that. Beau doesn't care. He's very self-involved. Everything, the entire world is like, how does it affect him? He's incredibly like inward looking. Doesn't even begin to cover it. Like he's like self-involved, really.
Yeah, and it's how does the world affect him, and never what could he do. He's always looking out for asking people what could I do. But I also feel like that's such a rhetorical question. It's kind of like a what could anyone do in this situation, because it's so extreme.
It's a very self-involved fail child kind of mindset, frankly. Where
Well,
it's
and,
like, you never had to carry about this.
The things. I mean, like the truck runs into him, right? Like the things that happen to him throughout this are not caught. Like he just happens to be like whatever running away from something, and then a truck. Like,
the cop almost shoots him, doesn't, but Birthday Boy Stab Man gets at him after like being hit by the truck.
That did make me like laugh out loud though, when it's just like it's like, oh, you got stabbed a few times, and then he's like,
yeah.
Because that's another thing that you'd fear, right? Like, oh, the guy, the scary stabby guy is across the street, and then the thing hits you, and then he runs up and starts giving you like the stabs too.
Giving the stabs.
So then I stabbed him.
And I
ran into my knife.
He ran into my knife 5 times. No, the Amy Ryan and Nathan Lane characters are like these surrogate parental figures that he.
Yeah, it's almost like him like cosplaying the kind of parents that he wanted to have, like the kind of family that he wanted to have, and he felt like was robbed from him.
But even when he wants to leave, like he has to ask permission. He has to ask for their help. He doesn't just go. Just go. You're a whole grown-ass adult.
Nothing keeping it. Although, I mean, there's that weird medical monitor, which
but doesn't seem.
But it's not gonna stop him from leaving.
Exactly. Just go into the police or anything.
There's another.
Then he meets that hippie chick in the woods, and like whatever. He's off to the next adventure.
Yeah.
But that's another like kind of fascinating thing. He's being surveilled the entire time, and we see it on so many. Like we see the TV surveilled on. We see the tracker. Like he's getting more and more paranoid. There's the cameras in his mom's house. Like that, you just see the people like.
Oh, and like with the TV, like the closed circuit TV, but like he fast forwards and rewinds it, and again, to the literalists out there, really. You don't get that this is like in his head,
Yeah.
huh? Okay.
Yeah. Also, like the photos at his mom's house, there's like all the photos of him, and one of them was like the scene where he's at the at Nathan Lane's house.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's like where did that picture come from? Exactly. Yeah.
But she's so controlling, it could feel like, my mother watches every single aspect of my life to the point where she could even predict what would happen in the future.
Right, exactly. Because
Well, and when it's finally revealed that like his therapist was a plant that was recording everything and giving it to the mom, like as a kid, I mean, I still kind of I remember going to a child therapist, and the therapist would talk to my parents afterwards and like kind of tell them shit that I had said or whatever, and I still don't have full trust for like therapists.
As a parent, that's not what happens.
A therapist shouldn't do that.
No. I mean, like my kids are in therapy, because they're healthy kids. And sometimes, we speak to the therapist because the therapist needs to make sure that we are doing our jobs to benefit our children correctly.
Well,
And,
I went to a therapist for like my parents getting divorced, so they would talk to my parents about how I don't know, they would tell them shit we would say. So I'm just saying, like,
it's not what you say, but it's how to be a better parent, essentially.
No, that's not what this. I mean,
okay, well maybe your therapist is wrong. Your therapist is messed up.
But I'm just saying, I understand how are you gonna try to snap correct my own personal experience from childhood?
Because I was there, man. I'm your parent. I'm your dad.
I'm your therapist.
Twist reveal. Yeah, exactly.
I'm a giant dick.
Snap correction. That didn't happen to you. But I'm just saying, I understand the paranoia that he has by the end of it. I mean, and he's getting worse, obviously, being back in his mom's house.
And being triggered.
She comes back or whatever, and he's like, "Oh, I knew you weren't dead." And it was actually his. And that's another thing to talk about, like another surrogate mother figure, which was like his childhood nanny or whatever.
Got Highlandered.
The Mexican lady or whatever, like
and her entire family for generations got taken care of by getting.
Which is another. I mean, that's another idealized. He idealizes his mom. Of course, she's not just a successful business owner or whatever. She's the most successful business owner. She lives in like the nicest house. Like it's how children see. I mean, usually their dad, but like a lot of kids see their dad as like a superhero, and that's kind of been explored in a lot of things, like how you realize your dad isn't actually a superhero and he's just like a guy, and like the traumatic moment where you realize that in his mind, his mother, I mean, when she's good or when she's bad, it's this fully idealized version of a childhood like parental figure where it's like she's the most important Pfizer executive giving everyone COVID vaccines. Like
wait till you hear about his dad.
Yeah. And Marta, the nurse who dies, in that way, it's kind of like the only motherly figure to him has actually died, is the realization.
Yeah. And she paid her to, like, I don't know, it's just of course, like my mother would be so jealous that she'd pay off the nanny that I had as a kid to
help her figure it.
Yeah, just to get her to test me.
Yeah. And then I still fail the test.
Well, he fails everything. Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny, and she even says to him, like, even if you'd showed up, even if you'd fucked up and showed up, I would still be kind of impressed. It's like nobody's wanting him to make the right decision. People are just wanting him to make a decision, and that's too much. Yeah, and
that still can't do it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's truly so sad. It's just pick. You can't be wrong. Just pick.
Yeah, I mean, like, even like when he's like kind of like scampered about, right? Like he's just sort of like blindly wandering from point A to point B with no like plan or direction. Like he's got like a vague amorphous idea. Like when he's in the car with like the teenagers, and there's the whole like, well, you have to smoke this or we're gonna blackmail you. It's like, what?
which is definitely what she's saying. Stop incriminating yourself. That's definitely what she's referring to, right? Like, it's the girl. Like the girl keeps trying to set him up. Yeah. Which there's a lot of, I don't know. There's been a lot of, it's almost like a cliched figure at this time, like the teenage girl trying to set up some guy, by making him do like illegal shit or whatever. Like adult men never want to take responsibility for their own weird decisions. So they're like, oh, like there's always this teenage girl. She has her phone out. She's going to be blackmailing you. Like
she's real busy on TikTok blackmailing me.
Yeah, okay. Good point.
I think it's interesting that Ari Aster actually has a good relationship by the way, with both parents.
Most surprising outcome ever, by the way.
Yeah.
After seeing 3 of his movies now, I'm like, wow, really?
Yeah, because I was looking forward to his his Fablemans, where he gets to tell us like what the event was that fucked him up, and but plus the monkey, we don't
Well, I mean,
ask him much
I think that he does have anxiety, and he does have like these like mental foibles. But in terms of like his relationship with his parents, I guess they're still married. They're both artists. They've encouraged him his entire time. He has like a brother that's also an artist that's encouraged him.
There it is.
Yeah, so what you're saying is that Ari Aster's Fablemans will be worse than Spielberg's.
Ari Aster's Fablemans, I don't think they get divorced. I think they just
they're just a happy family. Nothing
Yeah.
happens. Make some movies.
Yeah, there you go.
And then he's like, I'm gonna make a movie, my first short film, where the son sucks off the dad, and they're like, go for it, son. I believe in you. Every
That's such a
movie
thing as being
bad-
too supportive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Every movie, like bad things happen to the parents. Every Ari Aster movie, like
I'm just getting flashbacks to like Trent Reznor trying to like play his music to his parents before he releases an album.
I'm also picturing Cronenberg's parents being like, "Not so bad, huh?"
Totally.
Eminem, like playing fucking his records where he's trying to talk about how he wants to kill both his wife and his mom, and they're both like, you know what? Like, just put your artistic vision out.
Yeah, sounds like a hit. Okay.
Just, it's like playing GTA, Grand Theft Auto. Just cosplay it and don't bring it into real life.
Get it out on the screen so you don't be mean.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of Dick Dad. That's like the one thing that like I think you can get rid of that whole scene and like
It's
it's fine.
incredibly jarring.
Yeah, well, that's the
It's-
only part that was important to him in his life was the fact that there was a dick that impregnated his mother.
Yeah.
And it was such a large like there were so many reasons why I understand
my
why
dad's dick is huge, bro.
Takes up most of the attic, as it turns out. Yeah.
Do you know what it reminds me of the use of the octopus in the Watchmen, the comic book. I understand why it's there. It makes sense, but not having it in the film is a better choice. And so like I'm right here, like I get why giant dick dad, but it was incredibly jarring. And it was the one point in the movie where you're just like, huh?
Yeah,
this feels like a different
When they
movie.
use it, he briefly uses it to kill the guy that's been chasing him down, and it's like, okay, well I guess you couldn't figure out how to get out of that plot line.
Yeah, because the dick has claws, jabbers, pinchers.
Like
Well,
praying
in order
mantis
to get us out of that plot line, he would have had to make some kind of decision to.
Look, all I know is somebody
true,
stopped being
that's
A24 and started being full moon, and I don't mean that as a compliment. It was like that's a full moon picture decision. Like that's like you just
It's like Evil Bong 3.
right. That's
It's
like
also
I would.
like it's very edible, like Oedipal, not edible, but what an edible dick. But it's a
I
very-
expected Doll Man to show up and start shooting, not like the military guy. There you go. That's where I was going with that, by the way.
Mhm.
Doll Man versus Demonic Toys, everybody. Classic film.
I guess it also. I mean, it also gives you, I guess,
Would have been just as surprising, frankly. I was like, oh,
there's the
all right.
recurring attic dream where he's,
Mhm.
watching that happen throughout the whole movie, and it gives you something that, there is something in the attic, and it's a giant dick. But then that guy that he meets also seems like that might be his father.
Yeah, or the representation of him that actually stood up to his mother that he killed that day instead of, if you think of it as like a fugue schism or like a disassociation between two personalities.
I just think you don't show it. I think this movie's plenty long. You show him going up to the attic, you show him coming out of the attic being freaked out. There you go, done.
He goes up the attic, he comes down out of the attic, and he's like, "Wow, there was so much interesting stuff up there."
It's
And he looks
true
at the-
though.
looks at the camera.
Are you gonna say that the movie's too short? Is that what you're gonna say? No, it's fine. You don't need it. Just like he's freaked out.
No, I think that it jumps the shark for that one scene.
Leave it. Like I think it recovers after that.
Or jump the
but-
penis.
We call it jumping the penis around here. I think
Slap at the penis.
strangely, it's the only thing that took me out of it. That is that scene. And I think KT, I think you're right. I think if you just like leave it up to the imagination, which most of the best horror movies do that.
That's a Hitchcock principle.
Yeah.
And so I worry about, so you guys are saying like this movie might do better on streaming because people are more willing to sit down for 3 hours. I worry that things like that are going to cause this movie to stop. I'm just going to turn the movie off because I can. I'm at home. That's ridiculous. I'm jarred out of it. There's still like another 45 minutes at that point.
There sure is. Yeah, exactly.
So I could see people being like,
you
yeah,
know?
but there's also now, if you're looking at the contracts and the union strike, there's a difference between a view and a complete view. So you got to watch your shows to completion, or your artists are not getting as much pay.
Just like this show, you got to watch the whole thing, or you get personally penalized if you don't watch the end of this show. And I know sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to be on it.
chastise you every episode.
Exactly. That's why Andy
Well,
says
it's a true
that thing
hero's
in the
journey. The trials and tribulations.
And you, viewer, are the heroes.
Well, it's Andy doing the plugs is the trials and tribulations. You know, you must.
It's the call to adventure. It's the refusing the call. You know, yeah, exactly. It's all there.
I do really like the idea that this whole movie is just a refusal of like the adventure or whatever. Like, he's just like they're like, come with us, adventure, and he's like, I can't. Like, I literally just I'm literally too autistic to.
I would never. So if this movie gets released as a director's cut with the additional 4th hour, do you do it, or are you on board or are you not on board?
I think
The
after
whole-
I watched
the whole hour is
Ari
him just having
Aster's
a conversation
Fablemans,
with Dick Dad.
I'm sorry.
The whole hour is him just having a conversation with the Dick Dad. He's just like, Dick Dad has.
Oh, they put in more
How's it
Dick
hanging?
Dad.
Yeah, I was gonna say if there's 1 second more Dick Dad, I am not watching it.
Ooh.
My dad's
Dick Dad doesn't play.
Exactly. He has a soliloquy. Actually, it's quite touching. It's like Uncle Vanya.
He opens the tip. He opens the tip and he's like, "You have freed me from my dick prison."
Okay, who are you casting for the Dick then? If we've got a voice on the Dick, Nicolas Cage, good cast for the
I was gonna say Wallace Shawn, but that's fine. Yeah, Nicolas Cage would be good too.
You freed me from my prison. Congratulations, I am your father.
That's a good Wallace Shawn.
Yeah, that is a good Wallace Shawn.
Man, you should like get a job doing like video games for Star Trek, and you can play the Grand Nagus.
The Grand.
That's a long way towards utilizing the skill.
The Grand Dingus, the big old.
That's what he will henceforth be known as, the Grand Dingus.
Well, I mean, they all look like they have penises.
Thank you for freeing me from the attic after your mother locked me in there. Now, let me tell you a long story about how it happened.
And then it does like the like the sort of like the wavy lines. That's a flashback. Whoa, hold on. Let me finish. It's just like a family drama, like a straight up family drama, but Dick Dad instead of a human. Like everything is like a happy family doing stuff, but is it Dick Dad like throwing the frisbee with a nut, whatever.
It jumps up and tries to get it with like the
But everything's totally normal other than that.
Well,
you want to play frisbee?
Gonna blow the 4th hour of the director's cut if we keep
No,
talking.
exactly. We're spilling all the tea.
Spoiler on spoiler. I would do the who is the actor?
The frisbee scene went on for 20 minutes. Nobody knew why, but it's if you want to see a dick throw a frisbee around.
Perfect choice.
I know the film for you.
But
they cut it out in the theatrical version.
Yeah,
it wasn't as visual.
It was a
I
runtime
believe in
thing.
you. You can do anything you set your mind to.
Yeah, he's giving like inspirational dad talks, but like as a penis. Yeah.
And frankly, he was so caring. It's surprising it went.
Liquor. I barely know her. Like,
I'm starting to think it might be redeeming the Dick Dad scene. Actually, the more we talk about it.
You've humanized Dick Dad. That's the problem. Is once you start to care about a character, this is basic writing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
You're in it. You're like, I don't want to see him die by getting macheted or shot to death.
It's. I pay for the electricity in this house. Who touched the thermostat?
And then you understand.
I'm sweating balls in here.
You understand why he's all mad at that guy, and it's like there's a motivation behind it suddenly, so it works. Thank you, Ari. Call us.
Incredibly expensive scene too, when you think about the CGI.
Yeah, exactly. Why is that the thing that you're like, all right, I got the thing, everyone. Here's what we're doing, Dick Dad. What?
I think it's going to be really, really hard for him in future to pitch any kind of movie with, like, he's not going to get another chance at a Dick Dad scene in any kind of film because that was expensive and ridiculous and didn't really work. And he's a really great. I want to see him be able to make these kind of choices and go all over the place.
Spinoff was going to be an entire 5-season show about Dick Dad and the little baby Yoda Dick. That
his adventures in the attic.
Look, if you can get Pedro Pascal for that, I'll fucking watch it.
Exactly.
I don't care.
But I think you're right. I mean, like it's sort of okay. So in the future, be like, hey, there's not gonna be like a Dick Dad kind of thing. Like it'll be a shorthand for just like complete like wrong turn. There was no guy in the room.
Well, it's like jumping the shark, but you jump the dick.
Yeah, and you know, in as much as I like to say things like Everything Everywhere at Once open the door for films like Polite Society to get made, I worry that sometimes things like this close the door for things like this to continue to get made, even though this was really good.
Like learning the wrong lessons, like oh, let's just throw in something here for the hell of it. Where it's
well,
like,
you scare the studio.
Yeah,
and they're
Was
so
that
easy
movie
to
that kind
scare.
of at the end of the Artur moments of the 70s. That big sprawling western that came out in like 1980 something, like early 80s, with like Christopher Walken's in it and like everybody's in it.
If Harvey Weinstein's dick didn't scare the studios, I don't know how Ari Aster's dad dick can.
Good point.
Do you guys know the story about Willem Dafoe's penis?
Yes. Yes,
yeah,
I do.
It's horrifying, right? It's like
it's confusingly large, was what it was described as when they had to get a stunt double for the film where he sleeps with Madonna.
Yeah, they got a porn actor for the stunt double.
Yeah, because it was described as confusingly large.
Well, maybe that's why.
But also disturbing.
When I saw Willem Dafoe making out with his wife against that car, like near my house, like that, you know, a few years ago, and my dad fucking honked and went Willem like that. Like maybe that's why they had such a nice marriage. His confusingly large dick.
Oh yeah, no,
Andy, were you talking about Heaven's Gate? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, that's it. Heaven's Gate.
Oh my god.
Oh wow, we can all breathe now. Shake it off.
All right, so this is a clip of
shake it off indeed.
This is Nathan
just like
Fielder.
Dick Dad does. Oh,
son, if you're feeling a little wet, shake it
off.
But remember, son, no matter how much you shake, wiggle, bounce the last 2 drops.
Give it an extra shake.
How much you jiggle, no matter how much you dance, the last 2 drops end up down your pants.
This is Nathan Fielder asking about the ending.
Oh,
Which, by the way, so this is like a clip that I didn't. Well, I might pull it for like later or something. But like, there's this girl that was really high that watched it, and she asked a question about like edibles, and fucking Nathan Fielder puts her on the spot, and it's like, how do you feel about a high person watching this movie or something like that?
Yeah. It sounds like a terrible idea.
We actually just did one of these Q&As in another theater. So I kind of asked all the things I was interested about in that Q&A, and I don't have anything left. But I did just watching the ending though again. I watched the movie a few nights ago, and the final thing there with the boat. What happens with the boat? Sort of like eats him up or something, like
just, you know, it's I like to think of it as like an ejaculation. The boat isn't ejaculation, it's just, but you know, it just flips so fast that it creates a wave that should look a little bit like an ejaculation. But he's dead.
He's dead. Oh, so that's a bit of a reveal there. You don't know for sure, I guess, and now you.
Well, you know, you see it wriggling.
Yeah.
And you should sort of hear like the death rattle underneath the water.
I was actually thinking about it in the shower today, and I was like, "Oh, the ending is maybe sort of like." Because it starts with him in the womb, and he sort of ends up in a womb. I wasn't thinking that, but like I was thinking like a film nerd might think that. You know what I mean? Like I was thinking, oh yeah, that's what someone might, but I knew it was like ejaculation or whatever.
What you just said, I'm hoping that, you know, somebody on YouTube will say that in like 3 months.
Oh, okay. There you go.
But that is, yes.
And you kind of have that extra microphone on your lap,
This
sort
is
of
from
like
Joaquin. Is this?
no,
They're
he's
both
he's not
working.
going to answer any questions. It's in his contract, I guess, with you to do this, or part of what he agreed to would not be to do any interviews. One thing we sort of were talking about, though, because I've exhausted my brain on this, and some of the questions I asked actually in the last screening were really good questions, and they really provoked some amazing answers from Ari, and you were really articulate about it, and kind of the experience of hearing you answer those questions, I felt like really elevated the movie to a new level, and really made me understand a lot of the things I was confused about. So that was fascinating, and I think there were some people that were filming it with their phones in the other one, so maybe if you look up on social media, you can see some of the answers to those questions.
There you go. Just a regular old discourse.
I love the idea of being like, look, the other Q&A, he answered all my questions. It was crazy.
They were great. It was awesome. We should have been at that one. That was the good
That's
one.
very on brand for him. He never breaks character. Yeah.
I'm worried if we ever do like a 2 shows in one night for like a live show for Movie Night Extravaganza, I'm going to be just like that in the second one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm worried about that too.
Yes.
hey, let's all have an anxiety attack about that.
So, speaking of live shows, and then I want to play one of the Scorsese ones. We are having a live show on, I'd like to announce that now. We're going to be on May 23rd at Sanger Hall in Queens.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be hanging out, watching Mean Streets, and then we're going to talk about it. We have Matthew Film Guy coming. We have one more possible special guest coming that I tagged that I probably shouldn't have, but I was hoping to pressure her into coming.
We definitely have Matthew, and we're trying to peer pressure someone else.
And it's a great location.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be great.
Yep, it's going to be great. It's going to be a good time. If you live in New York and especially Queens, and you ever wanted to be like, I wish I could be in a room with these guys. Well, there you go.
You'll get a chance.
I wish I could sneak a gun in and kill one of these guys.
Please don't get me.
That's an intrusive thought just coming right on into this episode.
Exactly. But Sanger Hall is a great place. We'll we'll be talking about it next couple weeks too. So cool.
Yeah,
and there'll be some great art real soon.
So I hear.
I poured
That's
a
the
little
rumor
bit
on
of
the
vodka
street.
into
The streets that are mean. The titular mean streets.
I poured a little bit of vodka into this cup after being sober for the rest of the episode, and then intrusive thought just slipped right out right away.
Boom.
Cause, meet, effect.
So, having just watched that clip, what do you guys feel about the ending? I do feel like that ejaculation does get to the point of how abrupt and ridiculous it was. It's hard not to laugh.
Yeah, a build up to it, and then it just
roll the credits.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I really feel about the ending. It's kind of, I mean, where could they really have taken it from? Him not killing the mom and then getting to the thing, and then like where else could they really have taken it? I mean, I think it is a little bit heavy-handed to be like, oh, this is literally his guilt, and it's his mom, putting him basically on trial in a court with like a gladiator type, I guess, situation where everyone was watching him and seeing his guilt from the whole thing. It was almost like the Truman Show a little bit.
Well, his guilt has been proven, right? And again, like it's in the beginning. Like, what's in the first thing to do? Like, the therapist writes down guilty, which of course is a projection, his own projection, and like it's like the napkin. All the things are written down. Stop incriminating yourself. I think all the things that are written down are his literal thoughts.
Oh, that's an interesting thought, huh? And it's like he drowns in his own guilt, if you think of it that way. And I guess if you're going back to the Joseph Campbell
Wait, did
hero,
the therapist write "I'm guilty" or did he write "guilt"?
He just writes guilty.
He's right, guilty.
Yeah.
if we go back to the Joseph Campbell hero story, in order to get to the end, there needs to be like a death rebirth. So maybe it's not a finalized death, because it seems as though for the first time when the motor's going and all this, he keeps begging, but there's like, oh, he finally calms down and has a breath, and then the boat flips. And you could either look at it as like, oh, just another fucking thing that happens to this Shiggets, or he's finally moving on and he has to, this Beau has to die. Not sure.
Well,
Yeah.
apparently one of the hour that was cut out of it, he was gonna go out into open sea, like being like, you know, the tranquil ocean. And then a cruise ship that has like a fictionalized version of Michelle Obama leading exercise direction was going to encounter him or something. So
Are you for real?
I'm reading that right now.
Holy shit.
It's
Which
like
is
a
like-
reverse triangle of sadness.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. Triangle of badness, I guess. I don't
There's
know.
no way to predict what you could have said, and yet here we are.
Exactly. Yeah, and apparently there was a monologue at the end too. So, whatever. So I mean, I don't know. The last thing I think this movie needed was more. I think it's fine. You get like the indictment of everything, like done in a prosecutorial manner, and like, you know, this sci-fi Waterworld courtroom.
Besides Penis Dad, is there anything else you guys would cut?
Yeah, we want to circumcise this movie.
It was a little long. I mean,
yeah.
Could anything else have been trimmed, or was it just pretty good beyond
Well, what do I
that?
look like trying to cut things in this movie? Birthday boy stabbing man?
Hey. Yeah, I mean, I think the all the stage play stuff like has to be there, because then it's like, here's like, it's an indictment of the expectations of the viewer. And I think if you don't have that there, then it's gonna come off a little more differently. And all that stuff is very well done too. And then again, the way that works narratively is at the end of it, you're like, oh yeah, that's not your story. You didn't do any of that.
Yeah.
And that's just another compounding of the indictment, right?
I would also ask, you know, is it really, if it's not 3 hours, is it really like a magnum opus?
That's a fair point too. And there's plenty of Marvel movies that are just as long that are not anyone's magnum opus.
A lot of Marvel theme parks. No. In the words of Scorsese. I think, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's stuff you could cut, but like it kind of messes with his overall vision, and I feel like he'd have to be the one to make those decisions. I definitely didn't love the penis dad. Like that's the
Yeah,
one.
just don't show the attic and don't show penis dad, and it's fine. Like it would be.
Yeah, we don't need a resolution of the vet guy.
Yeah, we don't need his backstory.
Would Tarantino's version of that be a giant foot in the attic?
All right, are we doing letterbox one-liners or what?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So Letterboxd is a place for film. It's a place for film lovers to talk out with and to each other about the movies they love, the movies they didn't love. Lots of people about that on this one. And maybe the movies that they got weirdly penis dad aroused for. Who knows? Everybody gets to have their say, bottom-up democracy, not just the Siskel's and Eberts of the world. Everybody gets to chime in, talk it out, if you will, maybe to a therapist that's reporting back to your mother, or maybe not. And all of this is best expressed succinctly, unlike the runtime of this film, and put forward in the classic one-liner format. These are the letterbox one-liners for Beau is Afraid. Let's go.
When have you ever seen a magnum opus under 2 hours, though?
Big Brother has become Big Mother, and your father is Jabba the Nut.
Jabba the Nut. So
I would have loved if they had it like Princess Leia, or like that kind of like.
oh god, if the guy had been like chained to it.
Yeah.
Kind of was though.
Well, his brother was slave girl. Beau.
It was, there were emotional changes. So
I mean, he had the very tiny boy's clothing on, so it was a little skinny.
His dad's like, oh, go, like doing the.
Honestly, if you want to do a good job of the Hutt, just say that yogurt name, Chobani Han Solo.
We have
Also,
Chobani all the time. That's
I would
great.
love a Wallace Shawn Jabba the Hutt. Like if they were like, I've got this woman attached to me.
Bring me Solo.
You could put him in everything. You know, hire him more. Honestly.
Well, Solo, you have discovered my secret lair.
Honestly, he's a good comedic actor. He wouldn't have been a bad choice for this movie.
Committed democratic socialist with like a pretty utopian vision of the world that I appreciate a lot.
I want to see here's the Lucas cut. I want to see of Return of the Jedi is Wallace Shawn overdubbing all of Jabba the Hutt's dialogue.
And Cardi B doing all the laser noises.
Well, Solo, he's like, you must face the pit.
This thing is going to fuel the Indian Explained economy for decades.
Dude, it already is. Like I read multiple of because the night of I was trying to think through. I wasn't trying to think through I didn't want some journalist. I didn't want some blue check journalist.
I didn't want some liberal journalist
telling me what
from the lying fake news media to tell me what to think about this movie. But I was kind of looking for a jumping off point to write the intro to, and finally there was a Vox explainer that did a good job with the Joseph Campbell stuff. Which, once I had that Joseph Campbell seed, I didn't really read the entire thing. It was very long, but once I had that seed, it kind of gave me stuff to think about. But there are so many. A lot of them are very simplistic. It's like Beau is afraid to explain, and then they just explain what happened in the movie, and you're like, I watched the movie. If
it doesn't help me understand it.
The boat flips over, and then it stops being credits.
I was looking for Ben Shapiro's tweet thread about Beau is afraid is bad.
No. He's a giant. Well, he's a small dick. But
we already talked about dicks enough. Let's move on.
But you know who I would love to hear David Lynch's feelings on this film, because he's a director for whom I'm often like, can someone please explain that?
It was fantastic.
But I love him, but also what?
He's like, this movie needed more panties.
Too straightforward.
It would needed more Isabella Rossellini.
By the way, I was stalling because one of them didn't upload. So here it is.
There we go.
Everyone is out to get you except Parker Posey.
Well,
he's out to get you laid.
Yeah, well done.
Bound chicken, well.
Parker Posey.
Dude, what do you guys? I didn't think about this until we were talking about it, but it's almost like he's such a toxic figure that the cum is I feel like the cum is because she talks about how the condom broke, and it shoots through the condom. It's almost like his inability to mentally comprehend anything is so toxic that almost that kills her.
Yeah. Anytime something even remotely weird happened, the old people in front of me were like, oh, geez. So as you can imagine, it was quite often. They didn't laugh at all the appropriate times, though, so I feel like they were into it.
This makes me want a version of this movie with everyone with Fargo accents.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, jeez. Not a penis again.
That is
or a remake of this movie, but it's Martin Freeman, his character in the first season of Fargo.
Yeah.
Just being like, oh God, oh geez, because that character doesn't really make. I mean, he makes bad decisions throughout that series, but
sure does.
He tries to do the Beau where he's tries to make it seem like nothing that happens in that show to him is his fault.
Yeah.
And then so he finally is in the elevator at the end with Billy Bob Thornton. He's like, you have to choose, and his choice gets fucking Stephen Root shot in the head, and the woman he's with or whatever. You know what I mean? So that's almost like a Beau is Afraid style. If he actually does make a choice, the final choice is everybody in the elevator fucking dies.
The longest and most bizarre Viagra ad I have ever seen.
Not wrong.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, jeez.
It makes more sense.
Oh, for Christ's sake.
What dreams may come. By the way, that's Randy from Chat Pile, who's coming on the week after Sam Cedar.
Lovely.
So
Nice. Although I'm kind of caught up in the Sam Cedar of the moment.
I know you are.
I'm very excited for that, and it's like it feels like it's just been something that's been very in the works for a really long time.
Yeah.
So like to see it actually like manifesting feels I don't know.
I think it'll be good. I think it's gonna be a good
That's
episode.
awesome. Yeah.
And yeah, that is Leprechaun as his avatar there too. This felt
Even
like a
better.
Curb Your Enthusiasm episode from hell.
Yeah.
I actually forgot about this. I pulled these too long ago. I forgot about that when I mentioned Curb Your Enthusiasm. My bad. Wow, his dad's a total dick.
Anyway, damn. All right, let's do it again. Action.
Yeah, how are you the one yelling over it? You're the one pushing the button. Wow, his dad's a total dick. So there you go. I said it like 17 times on the show.
What
By
are
the way,
the
this
tags underneath it? I saw Pedro Pascal. That's very weird.
Oh, so those are all people that were at different premieres of. There's a picture of like Jenna Ortega at the premiere. I mean, Nathan Fielder obviously interviewed him. I still don't know who Phoebe Bridgers is. Everyone references that name, and I kind of at this point almost think it's like my own version of a meme that I don't know who that is because I'm just always like, I don't know her.
That should be your movie.
It's
Forrest doesn't know who Phoebe Bridgers is.
A younger musician. There was a small upset when she broke a guitar on some late night show, and a bunch of
I
people.
think
got
it's
mad
SNL
about
if I remember correctly.
Doesn't matter. I like the custom
Not
poster here.
correctly.
The custom poster. The allergy relief is on the way. Custom poster here is pretty good. It's a good feature. All right, move on.
Yeah. I noticed that when I was you pulled them, but when I was doing the graphics on them, I noticed that one, and I was like, oh yeah, that's literally his.
That's like one of the ads. Yeah, there it is in the house. It's pretty good.
Something he doesn't have the entire movie is a relief.
That's right. Birthday Boy Stab Man.
That's all you need to know.
That's all you need to know.
I appreciate like the 4.5 too, because that's like this movie is somewhere I think between a 4 and a 4.5 for me. Like, just I you know what, like there's some times where I just appreciate like the attempt, even if not everything in the movie works.
Absolutely.
Like whenever someone's like, oh, this is my magnum opus, like I automatically want to rate it higher because I'm like, all right, so you're this is like an artistic statement. Like nobody asks if you
Nobody wants
are
to bark
like,
anymore.
if you're like a a sculptor or something, or if you are like a painter, right, and you create like this this dazzling kind of artistic statement, that seems like the bar is a lot lower sometimes than like a filmmaker putting something out there being like, this is my artistic statement. Like it's hard to pan someone's magnum opus.
I'll say that I think you absolutely can have a 5-star movie with Birthday Boy Stab Man. In fact, I encourage it. But you cannot have a 5-star movie that has penis dad in it, for my taste. Sorry.
I just don't like that they're CGI-ing these penises now, or like
Exactly. Whatever happened to practical effects for penises?
I do appreciate the fact that they convinced fucking Joaquin Phoenix to go like full frontal for that one scene where he and Birthday Boy Stabman are both running around with their dicks out.
Yeah. It's good
I-
time for floppy dick combat.
That's what he should have used. Like stopped the.
It's like that John Ritter movie where they got the glow in the dark condoms.
Right. Don't worry, the funny Ari Aster movie is still a 3-hour waking nightmare.
It is though. That's the most true review.
It's just a statement of facts. Yeah.
Although I'll hand it to Midsommar. Funny moments in that too, I think.
Yeah.
And I couldn't stop laughing when that girl lost her head in Hereditary.
There you go. Those are the Letterboxd one-liners. We're both afraid.
So when I the first time I watched Hereditary, by the way, now that I've done that, I hid, like, because I watched it with my mom. I hid in the living room and went,
oh, that's messed up.
And then she screamed. And I was
That's
like,
messed up. Please follow the show. That's the torturous Hero Flacco. Take it with water over there. Moving extravaganza. I can't wait. There we go.
Got it.
Over
Like
there.
an Egyptian.
Exactly. Follow the show. I am, of course, at Conan Neutron. Drink this paint with me and follow me on Letterboxd because I'm all over that biz, doing the highbrow, the midbrow. Follow the Criterion Challenge along with me.
You got to do it in the drink this fucking paint with me.
Drink this paint with me. Follow this Letterboxd account. Yeah. J. Andrew Birthday Boy Stabman down there lost his keys as well. But he is on Letterboxd watching all the weirdest stuff, so you don't have to. Or maybe so you can. Who am I to judge? He's there doing it.
I just found Raven, the TV pilot, was on Amazon, and I was like, yes.
That's so Raven.
It is so well
Yeah,
done.
no, this is about ninjas.
That is
okay. Good.
so
We
Raven.
appreciate the clarification. Thank you.
Raven.
They're not ninjas, and that's a Raven.
We don't want people watching the wrong thing.
Yeah. There were mullets and ninjas. That's all you need to know.
People are talking about it more and more. KT, Little Dead Creature down there, has a dad that is a giant dick as well. Am I clear? Do I have a security clearance to talk about the fact that you may or may not be on the thing that the film people are on? Or no?
You may or may not be on the thing that the film people are on.
I don't even know. Yeah, sure. Yeah, totally. I don't know what you're talking about, but totally.
KT has a Letterboxd account. Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't think it was that oblique of a reference. This is supposed to be the Letterboxd segment of the show, but
I've put so much of my brain into trying to understand this movie. I have nothing left.
Understood.
But I am on
there is a
Letterboxd, and I have made my first Letterboxd.
for this
I have boxed
very movie.
For this,
Very exciting.
Mhm.
So follow KT on there. Birthday Boy Stabman, take it away.
All right, you're watch us on YouTube. Please do those YouTube things, like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell. And the big ask is, like Beau was afraid, watch this video to the end because unlike Beau was afraid, we give you music.
That's right.
And it's a great song by Conan Neutron.
There we go. Exactly.
Yes.
I don't just ask you to drink paint with me. Sometimes I provide a lovely theme song.
Yes. Find us on social media. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. And that's where you can find most of our posts. We chat with people on these things. So leave us comments on there too if you want to. More likely to respond than we do on YouTube because I don't think we respond to anybody on YouTube. I'm sorry, but no, we really do appreciate.
Is this a hint? Is this a hint for us?
Well, no,
talk about the Patreon.
A couple of our big spending, because we didn't really do that much Patreon content last month. So a couple of our bigger people ended up for financial difficulties or whatever having to cancel. So I'm going to be shilling the Patreon more because I require that to help the show keep going.
That's literally my next slide. So
Yeah.
my next part of the notes.
You have the Fantasia intro on here. When's the last time you updated this?
Yeah, I need to.
Jesus Christ, that was over a year
update
ago.
that part. But no, so we have the Andy Kindler after.
Oh yeah,
party.
we had one after party in 2 months. Okay, that makes sense.
Well, I mean, yeah, but so we have the Andy Kindler.
But it's worth 5. That one is very funny.
Well, we're gonna start doing them again. It's just this month. I mean, Conan, with you running around doing music stuff, with
running
you not
around.
wanting to sit.
Oh yeah, running around doing
stabbing people naked. It's not even your fucking birthday.
What you're setting up Caterwall stuff. It's not just. I'm not if you were running around doing shows, I wouldn't say you're setting up logistics.
I get it.
Yeah, he's robbing banks on Scooby
attics. Not going in attics where So if you're not a member of the Patreon and you watch the show regularly, please become a member of the Patreon, at least for right now. We had 17 people that were on it. Now we're back up to 16. I've been plugging it hard.
Good.
So that's cool.
So is Dick Dad.
He's been plugging it hard.
Plugging it hard.
Yeah.
Just like a Dick Dad should. Okay.
Yes. But the big thing too is it is Bandcamp Friday. So if you haven't gotten enough of Conan Neutron and you need more, and I know you do, and you like that song and you need more, and I know you do, go to neutronfriends.bandcamp.com and you can get the entire discography of Conan Neutron for $25, people. The digital download. It's great. You can listen to it on your computer. You can listen to it on your phone. You can listen to it wherever you go.
Yeah,
and you get all the music, all the artwork. Even some artwork from me in there. It's great.
That's right.
You'll love it.
You got Cry Boys. You got Dangerous Nomenclature. You got Dark Passengers. You got Protons and Electrons, the compilation. You got The Art of Murder. You got The Enemy of Everyone, and Perfectly Reasonable Deviations from the Beaten Track.
Which is
and
the
if
B-sides.
that's not enough, you can also go to Action Chief. Get more Conan Neutron.
That's right.
Right on the Action Chief page.
If you're like, this guy's a good guitarist, but I wish he'd shut the hell up with these vocals. And there you go. I don't sing in that band.
You're like, if you're like, if you're like, I like this, but where are the solos?
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's just the solos.
Yeah, it's the name of the record. It's the name of the record, KT. That's why that's funny.
I wish this was just solos. Why I paid $25 and this is the amount of solos I get? Well, you can also get Action Chief and have it just be the solos.
Yeah, which is not at all what's on the record, but
yeah,
but it is the name of the record. So.
I'm actually kind of holding out to the follow-up for just the bridges.
Yeah, exactly. I actually, with the first iteration of that band, at first I thought I was going to play bass, but every song that we wrote sounded like the bridge to a song. So I said we should call this band Bridge to Nowhere.
Yo, I want an Action Chief rap collaboration called Just the Hooks.
Yeah,
yeah, the remix album.
And recently.
But the big thing, of course, we talked about that's not, if you can wait. Honestly, you should do the Bandcamp Friday, because the big thing about Bandcamp Friday is that the artists get all of the money, as opposed to every other day where they just get some of the money.
It does make a difference too.
Yeah, really, it really does. So, support your local musicians.
Support your local Neutron. Just me, no one else.
Yeah. But buy Conan's album, buy Action Chief.
I got enough.
If you got money left,
Yeah,
after subscribing to Movie Night Extravaganza, I'm buying all this music. There are plenty of other stuff like feature guest. I'm sorry, Chat Pile.
Oh,
Randy
Randy from Chat Pile. Yeah, Reagan Bush. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can get that right. Get it today after you buy Conan stuff, and then you could be all ready for our Chat Pile episode.
So you're talking about the Patreon for you shifted over to Protonic Reversal now, right?
I should shift over to Protonic Reversal because that was a big fucking deal this week.
Yeah. That heard from Slayer on.
Yeah.
We're gonna have some clips coming soon of that. And
exactly. This is awesome dude.
Broke news with that too, didn't you?
And got credited. That's the key difference. This time I got credited, which is they linked back, and I was like, "Thank you."
I was so like cautious about trying to phrase that right. Where I was like, music journalists don't always give credit where it's due to small independent podcasts. I was like, I was just sitting there for like 15 minutes, like looking at the wording, and being like, okay,
right, because you don't want to piss them off, right? But it's also like. Yeah, that is the first time in 9 years, and I've broken news plenty of times before.
Well, because I was also tagging you in it, and I was like, I don't know.
Exactly.
What music. Be like, yo, Conan's co-host on that movie podcast is a dick to music journalist. We're never saying his name on anything again.
Shadow banned, blackballed. See, now we're Beau is afraid in this whole interview.
Yeah, how bad could it get? And then also you're naked and it's a bathtub.
Oh, and Andy's camera went out in the middle of the plugs. Oh, that happened last week.
By music journalists who are saying everything except your name. That's the Conan version of Beau is afraid.
That is the man above his bathtub.
Oh,
I also had Brett Bradford from Scratch Acid on this last and Suckling, and premiered a video with David Yao and David William Sims and all the Scratch Acid guys. It was great. Got to premiere a video on the show for the first time. So that was good. And people that know that, there was a few Movie Night Extravaganza people in the chat for that. So it's a big deal for the people that it's a big deal for, and that was nice to do that.
Awesome.
It's a great video too. It's hilarious.
Christina's not here, but I am going to ask for people, if you can, after buying all of Conan's music and after
buy tickets for Caterwaul 2023.
Yes.
You son of a bitch.
Right. Yes, get those tickets.
See, I was ready that time.
Yes.
We're never getting off my plugs. I did too much crap.
But yeah, buy tickets for Caterwaul, which is going to be a big fucking deal. Flipper.
And I think both you Nudniks are going to be there.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to be putting us to work.
You're damn right. It's not going to be like this. It's not going to be like this show scampering around like Beau and no direction.
Hey, I do work to put this show together. It might not
Scampering around.
Drawing intricate paintings, making edited images.
Now, do I scamper quite a bit?
Scampering is my favorite term because there's something so insulting about like this like the like how unimportant it is.
The length of your steps.
It also connects to this movie because when they're giving the eulogy for or whatever, like where he's listening to the eulogy that he misses for his mom, it's like she was afraid of squirrels is like the one detail they give.
That's right. Yeah.
When the first animal I think of was scampering. Well, I mean, because I live upstate, I don't live in the city. Is a squirrel. But
Forrest, they do have squirrels in the city.
No, I know, but like I feel like the first thing you think of with scampering in the city is rats. I haven't really.
Oh, sure. Especially in New York.
Yeah. There's no other cities. That's just the only city.
Yeah, as every New Yorker thinks, right?
City.
Yeah.
They say
the only outcome of that thought process is that everybody thinks people in New York are assholes. Like everybody that is not in New York.
I mean,
that is not an intrusive thought. That's just fact.
I think everybody in New York, like you can tell when people from the city come up here. You know, the hour and a half drive because they try not to stop for you when you're trying to And there's signs. This is like a small town, so there's like signs where it's like stop for pedestrians. You can tell who's from the city because you start to cross and they're like, oh, I fucking dare you. Like, I want to hit you. And that's the difference between, So even within New York, there's gradations, I think, of how much of an asshole you could be. I want to also say that I think that this is the funniest thing in the entire fucking world. But so the first, so we were plugging our Sam Cedar episode because Andy mentioned Christina. So we were plugging our Sam Cedar episode, last week or whatever. And someone else plugged it for us, like Marcos did, and he was like, Sam Cedar's gonna be on. And Sam Cedar retweeted the video of our Jay Leno after party bit. That's the first video. So I was making fun of Christina, and I was like, the first time Sam Cedar ever sees you, and it's you and Andy Kindler going doing the
it was actually me and Andy Kindler doing that. But she was chiming in. We were doing the most pronounced ones, but definitely wasn't like some Christina looking magnificent,
Yeah, but I was like, that's the first thing. All three of you did, but it's like that's the first time Sam Cedar probably ever watched a video of Christina, and it's all you guys going
making fun of Jay Leno, basically. It's a meet cute.
I don't trust the views.
I think Andy fell asleep. Andy, you got any more plugs? What's happening right now?
I certainly do.
Christina,
but I think we kind of covered it a little bit with the live show with the
I don't necessarily trust the views, but it says 21,000 people have watched you guys doing that Jay Leno impression.
That's so many. That's more than a Jay Leno episode.
There's not enough boomers alive to watch the.
Wow.
Now I'm only 19,000 of them. On a loop.
Yeah, you just keep reloading it. You've got 19,000 different computers set up to get unique views because you're smart about that shit.
Yeah. We got
to
19,000 computers, but just for Jay Leno related content.
Well, I'm like those. I'm like whenever you see guys in the movie that are like checking the
Ozymandias and Watchmen,
the surveillance like videos in a compound or whatever, where there's just a bunch of screens, but they're all just you guys doing the Jay Leno impression.
Yeah.
That's an intrusive thought.
So, KT, you got anything, or what's going on?
I do not have anything to plug right now. No.
But you should go on YouTube, check out Girl in the Basement. You can watch that for free, and it's a fantastic movie.
Check it out. It's not too long. It's only about 32 minutes long. It's fun. Actually, the artist.
That's just how long the Dick Dad scene felt in this movie to me. That's how it felt.
Yo, recently it cracked me the fuck up. When Jared posted that thing about Girl in the Basement, he's like, yeah, like whenever I'm trying to talk to someone, talk to some girl, and I'm like sending them my IMDb page, and it's the first thing they see is Girl in the Basement.
Yeah,
that cracked me up.
Again, like Ari Aster, he is an incredibly hilarious person to write so many horrific things that he does. That he's also like could be in any writer's room, especially if you follow him on Twitter. He's a hilarious follow. In my opinion, I was gonna say yes. I'm also on Letterboxd now, so I will start reviewing stuff so you can see the melange of weird shit I watch, and go with that. But the artist who did the theme song for Girl in the Basement has a new album that will be about to come out under the name Vespertina. So I would check her out as well if you liked Girl in the Basement. Just keep plugging all the people around us that are doing awesome stuff.
And keep reminding everyone of the name Jared Skolnick and Girl in the Basement. Just connect those things as much
constantly. It was so real. It felt like he was actually keeping me in that basement.
I saw when I was in LA recording.
Wait, why does it sound like it sounds like one of those cable TV ads? Hi, have you ever been kept in a basement?
Sure, we all have. Yeah.
In fact, yes, I have. If you too have been.
Call this number for the basement.
We're doing
Alliance.
a class action suit.
If you would like the true basement experience, please seek out Jared Skolnick and his basement experiences.
They're doing the class action suit with the Tylenol and autism like near me, like in like the next to the mall. It's literally like the sketchy mall lawyers, and there's this big fucking sign.
It'd be like a Godspeed You Black Emperor track where it's like 23 minutes long because there's no way anything else would work.
Or I was thinking of like looping elevator music.
Or just play Medicated to the One You Love by God Lives Underwater, and that'd be perfect.
Or the music when they put you on hold and you're waiting for somebody like tell it. You are caller number 153. Estimated wait time is 47 minutes. But no, so they're doing the class. So there's this giant billboard like headline thing or whatever that's like, if you've taken Tylenol and you have autism, let us know. Contact us.
Oh,
You may be entitled to compensation. Which I guess fair. I don't know.
I was just gonna say because apparently we're off the rails anyway. I saw
we're so fucking off the rails. We were talking about Jared and how he keeps girls in the basement. It's bad for his dating habits.
and he should probably stop doing that. I saw the most recent John Wick with him.
Jared,
That's what I was gonna say in the theater.
Awesome.
Tie those things together. Jared,
which was like the last thing I did before leaving LA from recording. Was I went?
Was it one of the showings with his John P.W. Herman short?
No.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, because the Alamo Draft House was showing his short film he filmed.
This is a Metroplex in Burbank, man. I didn't see anything cool. It was just like I was like, it'd be cool to see a movie. Like there was like 3 movies I wanted to see in the theater, and like at the time. So
that one seems like a fun one to see too.
It's great. Yeah.
Enjoyable.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you
movie podcast, are you on a break? Well, do you want to go see an extra movie? And not have to talk to people and get off topic about it? Come on down to the Burbank Metroplex. We promise we won't tell unless you do. You are viewer number 273.
Your call is important to us.
Yo, I love the Sopranos episode where he's bitching to fucking Dr. Melfi, and he's like, they say your call's important to us, but then why don't they pick up?
Did you see that the huge piles of spaghetti were found all over New Jersey?
Yeah. No, now it's like an EPA matter because they were put into the water system.
It's a super fun site now.
Yeah. Did you see my tweet about it? I just said New Sopranos just dropped.
Yo, there's I can imagine like the EPA, like because they have like their own police force kind of thing. So EPA police cops come in and they're like, we've heard about gabagool put into the water system.
I mean, I would have to accuse a pastafarian first, to be honest.
Exactly. Thank you.
It's a whole religious movement. It's domestic terrorism from pastafarians.
Exactly.
John, man, We be putting ravioli in the water supply. Forget about fluoride. We put marinara in the water supply.
Anything else, Andy?
I think that's it. I was like going to end it well, and then we're now like
bad boys.
We needed to end it as surreally as the movie we were reviewing.
I know. It's the runtime is about the same at this point. We're getting close.
There's time. Like, there's a part of my brain that's always like, hey, if a movie is 3 hours, like it might be a 3-hour stream. Like, I don't know why that's my intrusive thought. Bad boys. Eating
maybe
gabagool,
we should do
eating gabagool, put it in the pool. Bad boys.
See, I feel like the after parties are just part of the show now. Is what I feel like.
I think that you get like
if I know there's an after party, a lot of times I will keep some of the stuff for that. When Andy Kindler was on, honestly, the reason that I didn't go, hey, we should definitely do an after party like ahead of the curve or whatever, was because I was like, oh, Andy Kindler, like he's like, he's a big enough deal that like he was on like Everyone Loves Raymond, he was on The Daily Show,
Bob's Burgers,
Wizards of Waverly Place.
Like, I was like, he's not gonna want to hang out with us for like an extra hour, and then he was like,
he totally did. He was like, yeah.
I know it was so much fun to watch. Yeah,
all right.
I don't know. I was more nervous about having him on than I am about having Sam Cedar on, for the reason that I've been on streams with Sam Cedar before, and I know that he like kind of just rolls with the punches. I didn't know if that was gonna be like
you never quite Some people you're not sure how hard you can play with them.
You never know how
he's gonna go. He did one thing though, he bursts out laughing. I was like, all right, this is gonna be good.
Yeah.
By the way, my Beau is Afraid remake is Will Smith playing Beau, and like so he has his own rap song. He's like, my name is Beau and I'm feeling afraid. My mom said I'd die if I ever got laid, so I keep running up and down the block trying not to show Parker Posey my cock.
There you go, folks. Yeah. That should be on one of those Vox explainers. And this is those 15 seconds.
This is what the movie is about. Do you not? It's like an Eastern European Vox. They're explaining things.
They're written by Christopher Walken.
Yeah,
I am feeling very, very wonky today.
There's more ideas in this bit than there are in this movie we're covering, frankly, right now. Thank you.
Yeah, but now that we're done with the plugs, I don't know. It's been too long. What's next? No. Yeah. Final thoughts. Actually, wait. I actually had one more clip I wanted to play. This is one of the Scorsese ones, and it's on editing. And I forgot that I had this. So this is on editing and storytelling, and I thought that this was like really relevant to our conversation earlier. So this new layout thing, they really keep the cinema one in the back.
Again, remarkable for me. The way you compose and cut, and slight pans here and there, but very sharp, that sort of thing. Very precise, very well. Do you lay this stuff out in a planning way before? This is maybe a stupid question, but
especially in the last two, I blocked it all out in advance and shot listed the whole thing. And I did the same thing on this one, but I came in with the intention to throw it away. So just have it in my back pocket, but I also knew that I wouldn't really fly with Joaquin. So I tried to never betray that I had a plan. And
don't tell them. Yeah. My thing is just the opposite. I tell them I have a plan, don't mess around with it, damn it. And except for my actors, it's a different thing. If I have to do something special, then I beg their indulgence, really. And if they can do it for me, great. By moving the camera a certain way, they have to be in a place, like move backwards and forwards at the same time. You ask these stupid things for them to do, they're amazing. But no, I draw the pictures and now they become little drawings. But the reason is that they were, back in the 60s, it was so low budget and so little time to shoot. I wanted to make sure. I just want to say it was very, very taken with Russian montage. And so breaking up the frame, perforation by perforation, so I wanted that exactly. And I did a lot of that for a while, Raging Bull. But then it was countered with very long takes and dialogue scenes. So, but that's, yeah, that's, I know what you mean, because I think you're locking them into a certain kind, and you're not open-minded, you know. I wanted to point out, though, that when I first saw the film, not knowing what the hell the film was going to be, the first thing that came to mind were these, such a major shift from, it seems like a major shift from Hereditary and Midsummer in style and genre. And I gotta tell you, it just, over the past 30 years of reading a lot, and I fell in love with Don Quixote and Raffle translation, and Raffle, great translation, and Tristram Shandy. And it's really like these, or like 18th century British novels like Tom Jones, Henry Fielding, picaresque things where there's this sort of mock hero who, there is no plot, really. It's all adventures. And I just wanted to know if you had any thoughts on that in terms of when you were structuring the script.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it is a picaresque, and if anything, that was the thing that excited me the most here, was what I maybe could do with structure and even just the way this film kind of peaks emotionally right in the middle, or past the middle, in the forest, and then from there it's like a descent. But no, I love Lawrence Stern and Tristram Shandy, you know, just that like stream of consciousness, that non sequitur style of storytelling, and just, I mean, I always think about in Tristram Shandy the accidental circumcision, right?
Oh God, yes.
Accidental circumcision, Tristram Shandy's
Yeah, so I thought it was pretty interesting. He explicitly compared it to Don Quixote, and you know, that kind of imagined Odyssey, right? Like,
yeah,
that as like, you know, as kind of a takedown of the fucking Spanish Empire, but like that kind of like this is a character that's trying to work his way mentally through like the classic hero's journey kind of thing, but kind of failing at it, and literally is tilting at the windmills. But except for, you know, Beau doesn't really tilt, he doesn't really move.
That would require a decision.
Well, he's fighting an imaginary monster. We get to constantly in Don Quixote both see what he's experiencing and see the reality, whereas we don't get that in this film, but we do kind of feel that it's there.
Well, but like, and it's the surrealist element of, you know, kind of being within the psychology of somebody that is literally kind of tilting at windmills. I mean, windmills being their mother, I guess.
Yeah, and ironically, that's a film that Terry Gilliam tried to and didn't quite totally succeed at doing. So again, it's that surrealist stories that circle around the same sort of directors.
Yeah. But KT, do you have final thoughts? Anything we didn't get to for this film?
You know, I guess my final thought for this film would definitely be, I'm not sure I can recommend this. I'm not sure I know why this film was made. And I definitely love the idea of any artist getting to have a magnum opus, but also like it costs so much money. It takes so many people to make a particular film. And it was very evocative. It was very well done. It's definitely a class on how to make films. But if you're not the kind of person for whom that's why you go to a movie, this is going to be really uncomfortable, and you're going to be upset for maybe like a day and a half afterwards. And I'm not sure that's an experience people pay for.
Well, some people no.
I mean, this bitch right here did, and would probably do it again. So yeah, I'm really conflicted with this movie, and I think that that's often something I feel with Ari Aster, where like, this is good, but maybe it's like a very intense flavor. Maybe I'm the only person who likes anise in a biscuit, and so maybe I shouldn't tell people to make this recipe.
Sorry. So I have a question. how much of this did you know going into it that it was going? Because I mean, we've been talking about it in the chat, obviously, and I saw it Saturday. Conan saw it Sunday, and then you guys saw it Thursday, right? Like, so there's been a gap, I guess, in between when all of us have seen it. When did you know that you were making this commitment, or did you know that you were making this kind of commitment to something that emotionally kind of brings you through this?
Nope, no idea whatsoever. Just knew it was going to be the next movie that Ari Aster made, and that Joaquin Phoenix was in it. And I also knew when the movie was going to be, and that was it.
Because the reason that I asked that is that I guess A24 not wanting people to wander into something that they couldn't, which they also did Uncut Gems. I'm pretty sure, like another movie that's like a full blown panic attack that you're you're watching. At least if you take edibles before it, like I did. But like they explicitly advertised it. I didn't know anything about it besides like when they first. I mean, I knew it was Ari Aster, but then they also kind of advertised it as like, hey, like this is something. This is going to be a panic attack. Like we are trying. Like this movie is going to make you anxious. They kind of. I mean, not really like as a trigger warning, but like just kind of in their marketing, I guess. So like I was like, okay, the two things I know is that there's going to be anxiety to it, and it's Ari Aster, and I was like, well, I don't love the anxiety part because I already have it. Like I do. I mean, Ari Aster's like an amazing like modern director, so I wanted to do it for that reason. But like I kind of had to prepare myself beforehand, being like, I don't know what this is going to be. I don't know anything about it besides like there's a mom somewhere involved in it, and I didn't watch the trailer. I made sure not to. I didn't watch anything about it. I didn't read anything about it besides that like this is a panic attack and you should watch it. Like
yeah, but also historically with horror films, there's so many horror films that make some ridiculous claims. Like Paranormal Activity will say that you're gonna puke or run out of the theater. This is a full-blown disturbing like just mind-blowing experience, and then you go watch it and you're like, it was a movie.
Well, everyone's trying to do like the Psycho thing, right?
Decades later, a lot of times, right? Like,
yes, this movie comes with a barf bag that's personalized with the movie itself on it. Right. So
well, we talked about that with Billy Friedkin recently, and The Exorcist, and they're like people have had heart attacks in the theater.
Yep, yeah. And so, how do you go to choose to watch a movie like that? First of all, that sets an unrealistic expectation. But yeah, I can think of so many people for whom I know would really just not like this movie. That being said, I really did like this movie. So conflicting.
Oh, that's great on you. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. But if you're interested in film at all, and you think you can handle being upset for that long, or maybe taking it in parts and streaming, I would watch this movie.
Yeah, and if you really, I mean, if you're not someone that is going to panic to the level where it becomes unsafe or something, like I think the theater is a really amazing, like the fact that you can't stop things from working. And my phone's broken right now, so like I didn't even have the ability to like scroll my phone because it doesn't work right now. I'm about to get a replacement for it. I have like insurance or whatever, but like the battery or something is fucked up on it. So like if I don't plug it in, it doesn't work. So like I didn't have even the option to like look down at my phone, scroll through it or whatever, and then look back up at the movie if I needed a break. Like I was just locked in.
And definitely go see this movie soon because they're pulling back show times at different locations. It might not be out for too long. Like if you're interested, go see it. Yeah.
For sure. I hope this we spoiled it for anyone that hasn't.
If you've listened to this point, it's completely ruined. But yeah, if you've just booped right in, or if we cut this out to make a jaunty little thing, like of us being like, look at us on YouTube.
A giant kick for that.
Jaunty's my middle name.
Yes.
But Conan, you got some final thoughts on this?
I think you mean Conan Jaunty Neutron. Yeah.
Conan Jontrons.
This is one of the biggest swings that I've seen in a very long time. As we mentioned, it's bottled anxiety for at least an hour and a half, and it has some of the greatest caricatures of urban danger outside of a Republican campaign ad.
I liked that. I liked that letterbox review. I did.
There you go. It's it's very immersive and expressive surrealism. I laughed a lot. during this,
Mhm.
long and loud, and then sometimes I was the only one laughing, and I give no cares whatsoever about that. I think this is the best paranoid surrealism I've seen in a long time, and very fever dreamish. It makes Hereditary and Midsommar look like straightforward tentpole action films. It's introspection taken to Kafkaesque absurdity. And I think Phoenix is really great in this. I think the whole cast is great. The scene I don't like in there, but this is so far this is I think my favorite film of the year. We'll see.
Ooh.
The year is young. It's only May. They tend to hold everything back for fall, right? But I was really into it.
I mean, I also don't know what other films came out this year so far.
There was the Tetris movie. I've been keeping track of them. I can give you the list.
No, Tetris was good.
This is good. There's been a lot of that was good movies, so far. I haven't seen anything that's
the fuck is
like,
Tetris?
Whoa.
Well, you skipped playing.
I don't. What is the Tetris movie?
It's about the history of the game Tetris and how it got picked up and played.
Which is actually kind of crazy. It's
no,
an interesting
yeah.
story.
There's this great there's great suspenseful last act. It's just you're on the edge of your seat.
Oh, it's Taron Egerton.
Yeah.
Good.
I assumed.
But I saw the last John Wick. I saw
live action version of Tetris where it's just a bunch of people running.
No, that's stupid. No, that's not what it is. So it's.
I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't.
It's on. Was it Apple TV Plus?
Yeah, it's Apple Plus.
Yeah,
it's
worth watching. It's worth watching. Well, okay, I'm sorry, but you're literally asking about it, so I'm telling you. I feel like two of the things I saw were franchise stuff. So I saw Creed 3 and John Wick 4. But I saw Knock at the Cabin. I saw Sharper. I'm gonna watch the. I just got the notification that Willem Dafoe movie where he's does a crime and gets locked in an apartment is now streaming. So I'm gonna watch that because that sounds great.
Everyone, when I was at the movie theater, seemed to be going into Evil Dead Rising. Very few. I was kind of in there with, I think probably maybe a dozen people watching.
Did any of them get into the wrong movie and they were waiting for the Deadites to jump out?
That would have been hilarious.
They're like, oh, this is artsier than I expected.
Finally, there's a Deadite on the ceiling.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
When's he gonna read the book?
Yeah. I'll watch that. I didn't watch the Evil Dead remake. I don't know. I like the.
It was better than it needed to be, but still not as good as the Raimi stuff.
Yeah. I mean, but you know me. I don't watch franchise stuff if I know it's going to be mid to bad. I just won't. I'm not interested.
It's better than mid though. That's the thing. It's
okay. Well,
the Raimi stuff's so good. It's just not Raimi good. That's the problem with it. It's
I don't know.
It's a fantastic movie.
I'm so picky with horror. It really has to be something fantastic for me to be down.
No, there's a good twist in it too. So that's all I'm gonna say.
Okay.
All
right. Well,
there's prizes in it. It's worth it.
It's gonna be crazy when Beau 2 Anxiety Boogaloo comes out. That's all I'm saying.
The scene where he dances with the broom, killer.
Too Beau, too nervousy.
No, too Beau, too panicky.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
We're gonna workshop these bits, people.
Well, we'll get there.
It'll be great by the time we go on air.
I mean, there's a strike for the regular writers, so they'll have to take us.
Beau 5 will be fantastic. It'll be like this new fresh reboot of the movie.
Beau 5 still alive.
And that's my Will Smith one where he
what's his was it Police Academy? There was Citizens on Patrol.
Look, if we can get Steve Gutenberg, we've got a Beau 5.
we got Beau 5 on lock.
Hey, we've got Beau 5. We're making that.
You got the goot. You got the goot.
We got the goot. We got the goods.
But Andy, you got some final thoughts right here.
I'm sorry, it's Assignment Miami Beach is 5. I was thinking of Police Academy 4. My bad.
My final thought, when me and Katie were going to go see the film, I know I mentioned that Ari Aster is probably one of the most interesting new voices that have come into cinema recently. And this is nice to see him actually stretch his legs and show that he is more than just the horror guy. So that was
also the anxiety guy.
But like I remember like when the trailer first dropped, I caught part of it because like you're scrolling on Twitter and you see like part of it because the trailer will just autoplay, and I'm like, oh, this looks like it's gonna be like Mishima, like
yeah, because there was like the cartoon section, right? And there was like I feel like it was like, what is this? This is
and I'm like okay, you've got my attention. I'm definitely gonna check this out.
Beau starts to get fast.
Then he commits buku.
He's like
he tries to reinstate the emperor. Yeah.
That's the fourth hour.
That's the hour they cut out. He's an imperialist and he has to commit ritual suicide after he doesn't reinstate the
People
emperor.
just did not get it.
The thing is, he can't make
Michelle Obama's like appalled by all this.
He can't make any decisions, so he's supposed to commit.
But he can't even commit to that.
But like everybody else on the crew sees
his plane just keeps flying and flying and flying until he hits into somebody else's.
Why did they cut that out?
He's freaking out into the thing. He's like, "Mom, what should I do? Mom, should I hit the boat? Should I hit the?"
By the way, I love that we're throwing out Mishima references like everybody's seen it.
Google it.
Reference to our now classic episode.
Now classic episode. I mean, it's a great film. It's my favorite Schrader film, and that's saying a lot. But anyway, it's nothing like it. But I can see where seeing the preview of that, it does have that sort of feel of like what.
And there's certainly allusions to it with that play within a film part of it, because like Mishima, it tells a story but not in a direct line.
Yeah.
So like, but they're also two very different films too at the same time. So that also,
I mean,
I wonder. Has anyone seen Paul Schrader's on Facebook, right? Has anyone seen if he's like watched this movie? I'd be curious as his take on it.
Yeah,
I'd be curious too. He is on Facebook.
I don't know. I've been too busy looking for Ben Shapiro's.
I also think it's kind of interesting that obviously he wrote Taxi Driver, and Scorsese's kind of been fascinated with Ari Aster like more than any other modern director. So you have to wonder if I mean, if you are connecting those two things, like Scorsese sees things in certain people always, you know what I mean? Like, and doesn't see things in other people and is very vocal about that. But Paul Schrader and Ari Aster, maybe there's like a through line that he sees in both of those artists.
Maybe.
Or maybe not. Maybe he just liked Hereditary a lot. I mean, Scorsese is literally the biggest fucking Hereditary fan, like out of anyone I've ever seen. He has like all these videos for like Criterion where he's just like talking endlessly about Hereditary. Like that was his like favorite movie of the fucking decade or something. Good ass. I mean, it's a great movie, but like it's just funny.
Oh, Marty likes it.
It's not what you would expect out of a guy of his age to be interested in. And horror doesn't get that kind of like auteur directors would care about it kind of loftiness.
I
So it's nice to
really
hear that.
appreciate that about the fact that he's boosted Ari Aster
Yeah.
so much because, I mean, he sees him as like an auteur, which he is, but like it's kind of a lot of times just horror kind of gets written off, which in this movie, because it's like a horror comedy, like there's, I've seen so many, I mean, I said this before we were, recording, but like, there's so many things that are like, Beau was afraid, I was not, like, as like a film critic or something, like, Scorsese actually taking an interest in his entire career and being like, this is a truly gifted filmmaker, like, it's something you have to pay attention to.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that he's not making a mini-me out of him, like you might say Spielberg is with J.J. Abrams. Like he genuinely likes this guy and wants to have him be himself.
Yeah.
That's
a good point.
Put Bobby De Niro in your next movie.
Well, yeah. Don't be formulaic.
I mean, Joaquin Phoenix kind of is the Robert De Niro of our generation.
Well, I mean, literally, fucking Todd Phillips' Joker is,
King of comedy. De Niro's. It's the whole.
Which gave us the greatest meme of all time. Really like the greatest meme lately from a movie still, where it's Robert De Niro being like, you think blah, blah, blah is blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I do. And I'm tired of saying that I don't. And then there's just so many contexts where that meme is funny. Like you could just replace whatever it is. It's like, you think cops dying is funny? He's like, I do. And I'm tired of thinking that I don't. But yeah, we can leave it there. We're 10 minutes less than the movie itself is.
I mean, my favorite that one's good, but my absolute favorite thing is the when a joke totally bombs, right? The other meme, you know what I'm talking about.
Wait, which
when a joke bombs?
He's got the cards.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I think that there's like, I mean, I don't think that Ari Aster did this on purpose, but like because of Joker having Joaquin Phoenix in it, like there's instant comparisons to that movie, and it's kind of I think I saw Joker at the same theater that I saw Beau is Afraid at. I also saw Midsummer at the same theater that I saw Beau is Afraid at. But
it's actually not a theater at all. It's Ari Aster's living room.
I wish. I'd love to pick that guy's mind and find out how he's so depraved, even though his life seems really normal.
It's really well. In
Ari Aster, come on the show.
Scorsese's a big horror fan. He's a big supporter of Cronenberg in the Shivers Rabbit era. Another guy, Cronenberg, totally depraved and like the most normal guy that ever normaled, like in real life.
And Canadian too, so he's like really polite about it.
Yeah, and doesn't the Canadian government subsidize a certain portion of his films?
Oh, like most of them. Yeah.
So
yeah. There's a whole
he's not laundering
story
dentist
behind
money.
it, but we don't have time for that.
And they also when we talked about last night, which Cronenberg's in, they subsidized that movie too.
Where he individually calls everyone up when the world is ending to thank them for being a customer.
Scorsese's kind of the ultimate like film fan auteur director, right? Like, he's somebody that number one pours himself into his own movies, but also has spent his career boosting people that he appreciates a lot. So I feel like I kind of perk up when Scorsese's like, oh, this is someone that's really talented. But it's like, I don't know, it's high. He like literally, I feel like he doesn't just like I feel like Ari Aster doesn't ask him to do these Q&A panels. He asks Ari Aster like, hey, can I come interview you for your
Yeah. And it definitely feels like he's interested in people who are going to be able to tell the story both with the medium of film, because he's such a big fan of film, that it's not just like, oh, wow, Ari Aster's a good writer. It's like, oh, he's a good filmmaker. You could talk about the editing. You could talk about the cinematography.
Well, and if you watch him interviewing him on Beau is Afraid, which he's interviewed him on every movie he's done so far, but like if you watch that Q&A, they're talking about the process, and he's like asking him like, how did you do this? How did you do that? How like he's asking him about all these different but you know, we're at the 250 mark, so I'm gonna leave it here. We'll be back on Tuesday with Sam Cedar. Very excited for that.
Days of the Condor, baby.
And if you watch this live, thanks for spending your Friday night with us. You know, we appreciate it.